Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Who's all here today? Again, I don't expect a huge stream or anything like that with everything that's been going on. What's up, Crocodile? And, of course, in the thumbnail, I've got some topics that we can kind of, some inspiration on what we can talk about today. But I was also kind of thinking about maybe playing a game, but I'm kind of struggling on what I might dive into if we did. What's up, Salesumsaurus? Stagger, SSF. Rejects are live. I'm not surprised. What's up, Chartles? Let's see. Yeah, you're right. They are indeed. Just talking about doing a live spoiler talk on Suicide Squad, it seems like. We'll do what we do. Seems like we always, anytime they decide to live stream, it's always the exact same time as when I schedule it. And again, they are 3 hours behind, so it's 3 hours earlier for them. Suicide Squad box office is really bad. It's still, the weekend's not even over yet. Saturday just started. I need a Peacemaker helmet. What's up, Kazi? I don't know, man. I've got some mixed feelings on that, the Peacemaker helmet. And on the character himself, man. John Cena, though, did a really surprisingly good job. Like it, for what the character was, he actually had some moments where it was actually like, probably some of the best emotional acting that I've actually seen from him. Yeah, see, I don't know, man. Like my theater was completely packed, so like I don't know. Expectations are still too high right now for what it is. I honestly feel like more people will have watched this on HBO Max than in the theater. Hopefully he redeems himself in his show. We'll see. Where was Peacemaker in the movie? I couldn't see him. Only saw a helmet and outfit. Well, then you saw him. To you, Peacemaker was just a a floating set of garments. But nice joke. Watched the Suicide Squad and it was really good. I agree. I loved it. I set my expectations pretty low, and my God, it far and exceeded my expectations. I found myself caring for characters I honestly, in anything else, probably would have never given a crap about. You watched it on HBO Max. See, I feel like that's going to be the majority. I'd be more curious to find out how it performs on HBO Max than how it performs in theaters. Because honestly, right now, theater attendance is going to be trending down anyway, especially because right now the trend seems to be moving towards theatrical releases dropping out of it. I don't like those types of movies, the ultra-violent swear words. Well, that's all the power to you, man. I loved it to death. It was almost a 10 out of 10 for me. Almost. Saw on HBO Max 2, was delighted visually, a feast for the eyes. Yeah, I think it was easily James Gunn's most beautiful looking film too. It was shot great, the action was solid, the effects were all dope as fuck. I loved it, man. Suicide was awesome, but I didn't expect Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag and Polka-Dot, man, right? Especially that opening 10 minutes, man. That opening 10 minutes was intense, to say the least. DCEU is dead to me, so uninterested. I don't know, man. This direction, if they keep this up, I'm down for where they're going with it. Right now. And I'm gonna watch anything James Gunn makes at this point, so yeah, I'm gonna wholeheartedly disagree with you on that one. Like, the DCEU being dead, it's whatever at this point. The DCEU right now is like a string of unconnected films at the moment. It says something about James Gunn that he can bring heat regardless of the rating of the film and the franchise, right? Oh, heart. I think you meant heart. Yeah, I mean, like, despite all of that, that honestly was the most, I wouldn't say the most heartfelt. It was definitely the most heartfelt I've, like, that was the most heart and care and, like, love that I've seen for these characters in the DCEU for a while. I'm not counting, like, Zack Snyder's Justice League or anything like that, because that's technically something that should have came out, like, a while back. I'm talking about anything that's been made post-Justice League. Aquaman was fun, but it was completely devoid of heart for me. And that was one of the reasons it made it so high up on my tier list, was just for just the pure visual aesthetic and the action and the eye candy that it was. Wonder Woman 1984 was hot garbage. It had some heart in there. Like, my favorite bits of that movie were between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. But Birds of Prey, I wouldn't say that had any heart to it whatsoever, but it was still fun. It's like right up there in the middle of my rankings for the films. Shazam, I think, has the most heart out of any of the films, to be honest, for me. But this was like pretty high up there, man. Like, really high. Like, from Polka-Dot Man to Ratcatcher's backstory to King Shark. God, King Shark, man. I was either laughing or just going, "Aww," at all of his bits, man. Like, gosh, Justice for Milton. Hell yeah, man. Milton, that whole Milton bit was so funny. This month has been a tragic one for a friend of mine. His father, his only 10-year-old son, got dengue and got in a heart attack by the middle of the night. He passed away. Oh, Kazi, I'm really sorry to hear that. My thoughts and prayers go out to you guys, man. Hey, man, love your vids. Thank you, man. I think I could have discerned what you meant, but otherwise, I don't know. I was like, I haven't been on eBay for a while. I haven't made a bid on anything in a while, so who knows? Don't know. But I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you, Star Wars guy. Have I seen Batman Assault on Arkham Asylum and the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay? I have. Out of the two of those, I think I liked Hell to Pay a lot more. That one was a little more, that was definitely intense. I really like both those films, though, especially the Assault on Arkham, though. What I did like about that is, like, framing, like, Batman as kind of like the villain in that one. And it was really interesting how they did that. Just finished watching on HBO Max myself about half hour ago. Thought it was really good, too. Probably my favorite of any of the more recent DC films. I agree. The only thing, because I know in my review, like, I had mentioned that I wasn't sure where it ranks up compared to, like, my upper tier, because, like, Zack Snyder's Justice League is still, like, my overall favorite DC film, because it's just the coming together of all these favorite versions of, like, not favorite versions, sorry, that's, like, my favorite comic book characters coming together, versions of them. Not maybe the ones that I would have wanted or grew up with or anything like that, but versions of it coming together on the big screen in a very big, bad, and epic way. While I still had some problems with the film overall, you still couldn't really get over the I couldn't get over the fact of seeing them actually come together like a team and be powerful and awesome like that. It's going to be awesome. Man of Steel was only up there because I love the action. I love the cinematography of it. Still have some issues with the story and the characterization, but overall still had a lot of fun with the film. And it's Superman, so I'm always going to have a little bit of a bias and a lean towards like Superman, Batman, Flash, stuff like that. So that's why one of the reasons it's up there as well. Aquaman was probably the most fun in the DCEU that I've had out of all the films. It was just a little bit more devoid of some of those finer things that would have made it my number one film or my number two film. But this had like everything for me. It had all of the bits that I felt like every other film had kind of been lacking a little bit of. And honestly, right now, having settled on a little bit more, this might be my second favorite DCEU film. Yeah, you can take that. That can be your opinion, but they didn't ruin any characters. They didn't ignore any story. It's its own story. Every DC adaptation is completely different. You can say the same thing about the Nolanverse. It's not a traditional Batman story by any stretch of the imagination. That's not Batman on a fundamental level. You could say the same thing about the Keaton Batman universe. Like, it's like none of them have been the characters from the comics. So you have to go into these things realizing this is another universe. It exists side by side with the comics, with the animated series, with everything else going on. It's in the multiverse. They exist simultaneously. This is just Earth, whatever the fuck they want to call it. I mean, there's Elseworld stories where Superman kills people. There's Elseworld stories where Superman doesn't even have powers. There's all kinds of different versions of these characters. You can't go into this expecting any of these people to be representative of what you feel the canon is, because there is no canon. Everything is what you are witnessing is canon in the grand scheme of the multiverse. And that's how DC's always functioned for the past, I don't even know how many decades at this point. Because I was the same way. I was like, I hated BVS when it came out because I was like, that's not my Batman. Batman wouldn't do this shit. And then I just got over it at the end of the day. So like, yeah, I mean, I just think that's a very short-sighted point of view, just personally. And I admit I used to think the same way, but you have to move past it and kind of see the grand picture of the thing. Do I have an internet problem? I don't appear to. The Gunverse is alive. Crocodile. I mean, hell, you can go to the recent DC animated films and look at the Apocalypse War. That was way darker than what Snyder was even working on. And that was from DC directly. I mean, you can look at the current comic book storylines. They're pretty messed up. They're along the same tone. I mean, it's just the comics, there's different flavors for everybody, man. And just because it's not your story doesn't make it any less valid. What's up, Stephen Baker? From a place that local council. Part of why I didn't like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't want every character to be in the gray zone. I want my heroes and villains and a few anti-heroes. Where were our heroes being gray? We had, I mean, we didn't have like a clear-cut villain. But then again, I think your best villains are living in a world where they're kind of doing something, and maybe in the wrong ways, for something that could be just. I mean, Thanos, hell, Joker, in the grand scheme of things, is technically doing things for the betterment of the world, in his own personal worldview. King Shark from the Suicide Squad or the Flash. I'm gonna go with the Flash because that's more, well, the origin isn't there whatsoever. Like, the Flash version of the character is definitely a different, like, origin adaptation altogether. But as far as, like, but it needs to be done right. Who are you to say it's done wrong? You can't say whether it's done right. You can feel that you didn't like it, but to say it's done right or wrong, that's not your claim to say. I thought it was done very well, and I enjoyed it, but that's my opinion. It's not fact. See that Darth Revan Funko in the background? He's my favorite Star Wars character. Mine too. I've got you can't see him now because of all the little anime statues that I put up now, but I've got the Revan's mask up there on my mantle as well. I like King Shark in the Suicide Squad, but it was definitely a different version of the character. I had a lot of fun with him. Again, it's a different version of the character. They're free to do whatever they want with it. I liked it. It was fun. Had fun with it. But I think as far as what we're going to see, what we've seen so far, I think I do definitely prefer the Flash version because it's a little more comic book accurate. But that's just my flavor, man. Also, he's way more terrifying. Way more terrifying. We're doing my amazing friend and brother. Thank you, man. Love you too, buddy. Danny Elfman is doing the music for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Really? Ooh. That makes sense. That would make sense. Considering Sam Raimi's playing around with it. Hand. Nom nom. Bird. Wine. Let's see. Yep, and we got the Revan lightsaber as well. Also, let me show you this one thing since you're a Revan fanatic. You can find these on Etsy. I thought they were pretty cool, so I grabbed one. So let me turn off the light here. That might be easier to see it. Don't rave. There you go. There's like this little vendor that makes these like little Star Wars holo figure things, so you can kind of get like your little comm dude. So they made a Revan one, and I was like, all right, I got this. I had to get it. I had to buy this thing. All right, now I'm knocking all kinds of stuff over. There we go. Motherfucker. All right, I'll fix that later, assuming I remember. Rip Brad Allen was amazing stunt coordinator. Gave us amazing action. Can we talk spoilers for the Suicide Squad? I feel like sure. I think if I wouldn't expect. I mean, that's kind of what we do anyway. I know it's like just day 2 of it officially being out, but sure. Yeah, we talk spoilers here. I think like you kind of expect it at this point. So we always kind of talk about whatever the most recent thing we saw here. Anybody that hasn't seen it yet, I mean, I plastered it on the thumbnail. I hopefully they don't then people would be aware not to come in here. Talk about, do I remember the vendor's Etsy handle? No, not offhand, but I can find it real quick because it would still be in my recents. So, well, thanks, Scott. So Supergirl's officially wrapped filming. If you had to bet money, would you say Kara will be in the Flash season 8 event? What other heroes would I bank on? I'm willing to bet we will actually see Black Lightning in there, since that one is the one we know about. So to answer the handle question real quick, that's the handle for the people that make the little hollow deck things. And that's where I got that one. But I don't know. because their filming just wrapped. Filming hasn't started for The Flash yet. So unless Melissa Benoist is going to be sticking around for a few extra weeks to film stuff for a possible cameo, she could. It's very likely she could pop up on there. I would like to see her interact with Barry before again, considering her show's wrapping up. So I don't know. I hope so. I would really like that. Black Lightning, I'd like to see. I mean, as far as people I think will be on it, I don't know. But as people that I want to be on it, I'd like to see Black Lightning because I want to see Jefferson and Barry interact more. Like seeing them in Crisis interact was a lot of fun, and I really hope that we get to see more screen time with them. And then I'd like to see Kara. I'd like to see Stargirl. I'd like to see I'd like to see Mia, so we can get some closure on what happened in that backdoor pilot, since we didn't get a conclusion to that. But yeah, other than that, I'm just like, bring whoever you want. Let's see. I'm also a huge Clone Wars fanatic. I'm backing up here a little bit. Where I lost my spot. Shit. Any more Halo gameplay tonight, or just chanting? Well, the beta's over, so it was just for that weekend. So I won't be, if I did play any Halo, it would just be the Master Chief Collection, which I have had a little bit of an itch to play, and if things do kind of continue to trend a little slower today, like it has been, like on with not a lot going on, we might play something. I was debating on what I wanted to play altogether today, because I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Unite lately, which has been a lot of fun and very frustrating as well, because I've been getting a little too competitive because it's triggering some old League memories, since it's definitely League-like. I was thinking about maybe playing Demon Souls, or for some DC flavor, running around as Bloodsport in Fortnite. I don't know. We can figure that out a little bit later if we start going that route, because I did eat before popping on stream today. Let's see. Feel sad for King Shark. I feel like they thought his fish friends, but then they started eating. I know, man. It was like King Shark was just always getting like put down throughout it, like not allowed to come tag along, like left behind on these little like sneaky missions. I guess just kept feeling bad for him because he just wanted to be accepted and have friends and also eat. But gosh, that was like when those things started attacking him, I was like, oh no, why? Also a huge Clone Wars fanatic, but I got a bunch of Clone Wars helmets from the Clone Wars. Awesome, man. I really want to collect some of the Star Wars helmets. I just need to find room for this stuff. Power Rangers helmets is another one I want to get. I've only got the Green Ranger one right now, but slowly working my way up there. Omni time. Question: have you watched He-Man and She-Ra Secret of the Sword? It's a 1985 animated movie, my favorite cartoon ever. I converted it to 1080p and watched it again. I have not. As far as He-Man and She-Ra, I mentioned this in my Motu Revelations videos, is that like I watched the original cartoon growing up, but I was never like really big into it. Like I just couldn't get into it as a kid, but I watched a lot of it, like because there wasn't a whole lot of options when I was growing up as far as TV, especially when that was rerunning. But I watched a lot of it, and I was just like, it was cool. But I was always like, when's Power Rangers come on? Or where's the Transformers? Those were the kind of things that I was a little more into. So I never really spanned off into She-Ra or any of the animated He-Man stuff. I did see the Dolph Lundgren film, though, because it's kind of hard to avoid some of those things growing up. But I watched that. But I know that's not really close to what we're talking about here. I think Motu Revelation is very good, and the haters are like Scarecrow or the Tin Man in most cases, both. I agree. A lot of it is like they have very different memories of the characters, and they also seem to be, and this isn't all the case, but it does seem that for a lot of the case, people are not willing to accept that their characters can change and grow, or that they're flawed. Because they're like, well, that's not Teela, that she wouldn't do this. I was like, well, Teela before, didn't realize her entire life was a lie and that the people she had been devoting her life to day in and day out didn't trust her with this information, let alone her best friend. So it was like a betrayal from everybody in the room. And like that can destroy your worldview. That can change you as a person. And people aren't okay with that. They're like, that's not Gila. I was like, well, you know what? I hope and wish that you are that strong in your own constitution for when something like that happens to you, you can hold your ground as well. Let's see. I love DC and Marvel, but I wish for DC to continue the Snyderverse, and I wish Marvel could bring back old characters for the old films. I just wish DC would commit to a direction. Like, they were going that way with Snyder stuff. It's just everything they made after BVS, which, you know, BVS at that point was only the second film in the franchise at that. But like the Justice League that came out and everything that's kind of followed suit after that has just kind of contradicted its origins. So the only real thing to do if you want to continue it is reboot it, which is what I think the Flash film is going to do. But which is why I wish they would just continue it, because the puzzle pieces have already been laid for where it was going to go. And like George R.R. Martin says, if you change the ending because people don't like where you're going or have already guessed it, then you're disenfranchising everything that you've set up prior. And I don't know. So we'll see what they do with it. You can bring back old characters, and I wish Marvel could bring back old characters for other old films and TV shows. That'd be cool. I agree with that. We'll see what they can do, though. Even though Robert Downey Jr. seems to have burned his bridges with Marvel as of late, I don't think we'll be seeing him anytime soon. But Chris Evans and other people, I think there's a strong chance, given the right story, that we could see a lot of people coming back from the past. Thank you. Suicide Squad was amazing. Absolutely loved it. Really loved your channel, by the way. Thank you. And Ite, you're one of the best. I'm glad you think so. I wouldn't tout myself so highly, but I really appreciate that sincerely. I think Stargirl and the JSA is a given for the Flash premiere crossover. CW has said John Wesley Shipp's Jay Garrick will appear in Stargirl Season 2 as well. Well, we know that. We also know that John Wesley Shipp has played different versions of different characters, so because what they said is he would be playing their Jay Garrick. But if he's like crossing over, because the Jay Garrick we know is now on Earth Prime, and they're on Earth 2, the new Earth 2, not the original Earth 2. The original Earth 2 got destroyed. This is a brand new Earth 2 from all intents and purposes. So like I would have to assume that he's playing a new Jay Garrick. If he's playing the same Jay Garrick, that would be really cool. But I don't know. They will cross over, but I don't think it's going to be that early. Stargirl starts next week, so we will find out what direction it's going to be going. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I would love to see you play the Arkham Knight as a suggestion. I thought about that too. Just kind of revisiting like some of the Arkham games. I've played them all. I've beat them all. I beat Arkham Knight the night it came out. Just played it straight through in one night, which, you know, probably isn't always the best thing because you're just kind of blowing all the enjoyment out in one day. But it was a lot of fun. Because I got all the skins, I've got all the expansions and stuff for it too. So it's a possibility. Maybe I'll throw up a poll a little bit later for anybody that's actually sticking around, and then you guys can just kind of choose for me if we go that route. Because who knows, the conversation could last God knows how long half the time for it to take me to catch up, because who knows how behind I am already at this point. I'd also love to see Alex Danvers, Killer Frost, Superman, Batwoman, Black Canary, White Canary, Speedy, and Arsenal. Yeah, I keep forgetting about the Arrow characters anymore because I just don't expect them to show up anymore. I would love to see Thea come in. Or Roy. I always love seeing Roy pop up. They could definitely have Javicia Leslie show up as well as Batwoman. That'd be cool. Yeah, I'd be down for any of those options, actually. I'm looking forward to Titans and Stargirl. Stargirl 100%. Titans I am very interested in watching. Whether or not I'm looking forward to it is a different story. If it's good, I will say yes. But so far, as you guys have known, I've been heavily disappointed with Titans for a long time now. Let's see. That's awesome. I actually have that on. Where'd you go? Oh my god. There we go. Serious question. Do I consider The Last Jedi canon? Canon to the Disney trilogy. Like, to the Disney era of Star Wars films. I would, if I can go the rest of my life ignoring the sequel trilogy, I am going to do that. Thanks for keeping me entertained as I finish up my work. Thank you for the super chat, Marcus. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate any of you guys who like go out of your way to support the channel like that. I really do. Like, it's honestly very humbling. Like, every time it happens, like, the feeling has not changed whatsoever anytime you guys do something like that. Thank you, Marcus. And I'm glad that I can make people's days a little bit more enjoyable just by being a me. But in my head canon, until they, I would rather prefer that it didn't happen. I just wish He-Man was in a show called He-Man. It's called Masters of the Universe. He-Man's name is not in the title. It has so far been about the Masters of the Universe. Worse is Kevin Smith straight up lied. No, he did not. He has yet to lie about anything, and nobody has any evidence of which to prove that he has lied about anything. That whole narrative is completely bullshit and unfounded and a twisting of words. People don't know the truth or the facts, and you can't really say he's wrong until the final 5 episodes come out. He-Man has been in every episode. He has been felt in every episode, and despite not directly following him as the primary focal point of the story, the whole story is about He-Man. It is about finding He-Man. It is about getting He-Man back. He-Man is still, even in the first 5 episodes of this 10-episode season, which there are still 5 episodes we have not seen, that we don't know anything about. And every time Kevin Smith has talked about it, he has talked about it in its entirety. Not part 1. The leaks that came out were part 1 specific. The synopsis that came out before the show came out was part 1 specific. And anytime he's talked about it, because it wasn't a decision he was told or made or was aware of, because under his impression, he was under the he was under the understanding that the show was going to be released all at once, and that was the decision that was made by Netflix, not Kevin. Every time Kevin has talked about the show, he has been talking about episodes 1 through 10, not 1 through 5. So people, if episodes 6 through 10 come out, and then it proves that he lied, sure, but no one has any evidence at all to justify or prove that he has lied yet. Like I said, that can all change when the next part come out, but everybody is formulating their opinions based on an incomplete narrative just so they can twist their own agenda-based shit online, and it's just being spread by YouTubers that love to scream the second there's a female lead in anything. Also love Mask, Mobile Armored Unit Command. It's like a mix of Transformers and G.I. Joe. I have not seen that. Definitely love it with everything. I hope Netflix does a He-Man reboot set in the same universe as their She-Ra show. There is another He-Man show coming out after Motu Revelation wraps up. It's going to be CGI. They said it's going to be more kid-focused. Sorry, Scott, missed this for a second here. Thank you again for another super chat. I'm going to pay to ask this, your detailed thoughts and praises and problems of The Last Jedi from fan and filmmaking perspective. God damn it. I wish I could just not talk about it, but you super chatted it. So my problems with it is it doesn't feel like Star Wars. The narrative, the way people talk, the way the world functions, it doesn't really fit the consistent narrative of the story that we've seen so far. It goes out of its way to feel more contemporary than actually something that is not part of our universe. I mean, you can summarize a lot of the film into just this moment. Nobody in Star Wars would do this unless they were legitimately getting dirt off of their shoulder. But he was doing that little gist thing that is just something people would do in our world. There was, like, I don't know, characters didn't make decisions characters would normally make. Its plot was nonsensical to a point. The acting was fine. The acting was great. Actually, it was probably one of the best acting performances I've seen from Mark Hamill, given he didn't like the story or the direction it was going. But he still gave it his all, and I think he gave a great performance. I think everybody gave great performances. And it was beautiful. It was easily the most beautiful looking Star Wars film. It had probably the strongest sound design out of any of the Star Wars film. As far as technically, the technical skill that went into the film, I think it is probably the best made Star Wars film, but I can't jive with the writing. The director went out of the way to throw a roadblock in the storyline that J.J. Abrams had set up. And he basically cock-blocked the next director that was going to be taking the stick from him in where to go with the story. Like, it was, I think one of the biggest mistakes of it was completely disregarding all of the setups in the previous film, because it makes it feel disconnected from the previous film and makes it feel disconnected from the film that follows. Which comes down to the leadership and them not having a plan beforehand, them not having an outline of where they wanted to go, but just letting the directors piggyback off of one another and letting whoever just comes next do whatever they want. And that was a mistake. And I don't blame Rian Johnson for that. He just came in and did what Rian Johnson does. I mean, I like Rian Johnson's films. I like the films that he directs. He comes up with his original ideas. I love all of the films I've seen of his. But it's just when if you inject or hire a Rian Johnson for the second entry in your trilogy, I think and you give him free reign, I think you're making a mistake, because you need to understand what you're hiring. Because he's all about upsetting people. He's all about the subversion. He's all about playing with tropes, not accepting them. And that's all Star Wars really is. Like, it is the hero's journey. It is this narrative of hope. While there are some themes in there thrown in here and throughout, it's not meant to be deep. It's not meant to be like thought-provoking. It's meant to be for children at the end of the day. So it's simple ideas, broad strokes, good, bad. Sometimes you can throw some stuff in there and you can say it's inspired by one thing, because obviously the original trilogy was inspired by a lot of historical events, but it was all cloaked behind these broad stroke things. And they tried to tackle like toxic masculinity in it, which doesn't make sense in a Star Wars world, because that's never been a thing, because they've always been inclusive in every stretch of the word, except for the Empire, which is very alienist and droidist. Well, the world as a whole has always been pretty droidist, but as a whole, it never made sense. It felt very like our world speaking, not Star Wars. Then they're like war profiteering, which makes sense in the world. Yeah, this animal cruelty thing that was just halted the plot altogether. Character motivations that are just forced and out of nowhere. It's just, everything that happened with the characters makes no sense logically for me. And honestly, I had a lot of high hopes after The Force Awakens. While The Force Awakens wasn't initially what I liked, I thought it set up a lot of promise for where the trilogy could go. I enjoyed Force Awakens, and I thought even though it wasn't what I expected it to be, it still set the groundwork for what could be a really interesting story. And then The Last Jedi derailed all of that. So it is what it is. Sorry. All right, back up. because that had me on a tangent here. So let's see. Didn't lie. He said He-Man played a big part in the show, and he was likely talking about the entire season. No, in fact, he has 100% has been talking about the entire season. Grew up on the era of X-Men, Conan the Barbarian, Mask, He-Man, Care Bears, My Little Pony. Man, I sound like an old man. Not at all, man. Not at all. I mean, I remember a lot of those things, but I definitely, outside of the X-Men, none of it really stuck for me in the long run. X-Men really stuck with me for a while. Really looking forward to the Peacemaker show. That's going to be really interesting. I'm really curious to see what it's going to be about and how it's going to be structured. I'm definitely curious about it. Definitely curious about it. Got my eyes on it. Thundercats. Watched a shit ton of Thundercats. Captain Planet. Yeah, that was another one that I watched daily. And Transformers. Though, as far as Transformers go, I was never really into the car era of it. I was more of a Beast Wars person myself, but that might just be, you know, because that was more prominent when I was growing up. Cyverse does continue. That doesn't mean they have to bring Zack back. They can continue like Cavill as cameos. Exactly. I mean, regardless of what you feel like, we're still living in a version of the Snyderverse. It's just not where he intended it to go. He still set up all these characters. I feel like Elon Musk. I actually got some toys. Y'all play Marvel Avengers? It's fun. I didn't like the way it looked whenever it was announced, and everything that I've seen of it since does not look all that enticing to me, especially with all the microtransactions and stuff and the repetitive gameplay. Yeah, I mean, all the power to people who enjoy it, but it's definitely not my vibe. I got a free beta key for it when it came out, and I never even bothered to install it. He's just saying Crosshair definitely removed his chip. It was definitely removed after his burn entry on Braca. Also, him lying would be stupid to set up something. I don't think he's lying, but I think he might believe it's true. I think he might believe that he had it removed. I don't know, though, because the scarring on his head didn't really look like it had actually been taken out to me. So I don't know. We'll just have to see where it goes. I'm still like iffy back and forth on where it's going to go back either way. I'm a weird person, at least when it comes to the stuff I watched growing up. I watched the reruns of a bunch of 90s kids shows, but mostly the DCEU cartoons. Also watched Ben 10. The original Ben 10 I watched quite a bit. Clone Wars, Avatar. Avatar's in my top 10 shows of all time. Mandy, thank you for that super chat. Sorry you're late to the chat. You have nothing to apologize for, Mandy. Just thank you for that, and thank you for that generous super chat. I'm now chilling with my standard pink gin and lemonade. So excited for next week's Bad Batch. Me too. I'm right there with you. Right. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with that. I watched a lot of that stuff. My go-to when I was growing up, like my core, like initial, like 5 years, or we can just go 10 and under. I mean, yeah, it was Transformers. It was Beast Wars, X-Men, the animated series, Batman, the animated series, Spider-Man, the animated series, Power Rangers, Disney Afternoon was pretty high up there. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the cartoon, the OG cartoon, that was high up there. I was obsessed with all that stuff. I was also into wrestling at that point before like I kind of grew out of that one. What else? I mean, Nicktoons in general, I was really gravitating towards. Darkwing Duck was one of my favorites. Not Nicktoons, but cartoons at the time. There's a lot, man. Tailspin. I know I said Disney Afternoon, but that was just kind of going into some of them. Really good, man. I watched a little bit of Superman the animated series, but I didn't watch nearly as much as I did of compared to Batman. I wonder what Justice League movie directed by James Gunn would look like. Oh my god, I wouldn't even... That would be a interesting version of that. I would be interested to see that as like an Elseworld story. I grew up in the 80s and loved watching older stuff. Do you think the Venom Let There Be Carnage will be rated R? I doubt it, but I feel like it should be. But we'll see. I feel like for it to be the best version of itself, it probably should be. Because Cletus Cassidy, PG-13, is just rough in general. You have to work around a lot of things. So, I don't know. It all just depends on how they handle it. Thank you very much for everything, everyone.
Well, thank you, Steven. Sequels are not canon to me. Fair enough. I would absolutely love to see Will Smith's Deadshot and Idris Elba's Bloodsport team up in Suicide Squad 3. That would be awesome. I love Idris Elba so much, man. And I went into it thinking like, oh, is this just like a... I know he's in the comics, but like, is this just like a derivative character of Deadshot? While they have a lot of similarities, they're still vastly different. I like that. So I'm glad that they kind of made them stand out. I love to see characters like Alex, Nia, Anissa. Yeah, man, all those. I'd be okay seeing any of them show up for the crossover on the Flash. I'm sure we're going to find out through leaks and set photos and stuff like that in the next 2 weeks. At least who some of them are. As Canada Graphs is going to be skulking around their sets getting photos and whatnot. Dead Sport, Bloodshot, Dead Blood, Shot Sport. Nice. What if hype is through the roof? Agreed. I can't wait to see it, man. Cannot wait. Could probably be the best or second best MCU show. We'll just have to wait and see. With it not being like consistent episode to episode, I'm curious to see how it will resonate. So with it being a different story every episode. So I'm very interested to see how it plays out. There was a reactor I watched earlier who was able to watch the first 5 episodes of Titan Season 3, saying it's completely better and different, but would like to see that for myself. Yeah. I'm always a little suspect of anybody that got to see anything early, because obviously if they got it early, they have a somewhat decent relationship. And this isn't always the case, because I've seen a lot of people that do stand by their integrity and will say it was like, it was whatever. Even though like, but a lot of times it's like, I feel like a lot of people are inclined to be a little more forgiving on something whenever they were given it in advance. So I always take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but no matter what anybody says, I'm always going to see it for myself. And because it's DC, whether or not I like it or not, which I've not enjoyed seasons 1 or 2 yet, I'm still going to be watching season 3, and I'm going to be hoping for it to be awesome, and we'll see where it goes. Star Wars sequels are canon, and honestly would wonder if they bothered to continue the saga in a future trilogy, especially with the same characters. Well, the actors, I don't think they'll come back. John Boyega said that him returning would be contingent on everybody else coming back, and everybody else seems to be pretty done with Star Wars because of all the drama and the everything that's happened. I would very much doubt we'd see any of the original cast come back for anything in the future. Maybe an animation, or the next trilogy will just be years after that era and they'll just reference it. And while, I mean, I do accept that it is canon, but in my head, I would just rather ignore it. Not think about it. Sequel characters make Jar Jar look Luke Skywalker level. Kinda. Sequel trilogy was exhausting. Seeing what DC is doing right now, I have a feeling that they are trying to set up a new Justice League film as a soft reboot. I think so as well. I definitely think the Flash film is going to be setting the stage for what the DCEU is going to be moving forward. I mean, that's what it did in the comic books, even though this isn't a direct adaptation. I mean, there's rumors that Reverse Flash isn't going to be the villain either. So, they're definitely doing their own thing with it, with a heavy inspiration from the Flashpoint, but this is not an adaptation of Flashpoint. But in that same vein, I expect them to change their own universe after all the events that they go through. So we're going to come back and the DCU is going to be looking a little different. Making a trilogy of movies and not having a plan in the beginning for the same person to direct all 3 films as a recipe for disaster was kind of doomed from the beginning. I think you could have had a different director each 3 of the films, but if you kept them on rails, like if you had an outline of the story you wanted to tell, which they already had because George Lucas had already given them drafts of 7, 8, and 9 beforehand that they just decided to just scrap. So like, it's just, I wish they would have just, you know, had an outline and had a plan, but there's evidence across the board that they never had a plan in place. So And it shows in the movies. It makes them feel disconnected. And while you could say the original trilogy didn't necessarily have a plan, but it had one person who had a singular vision, and it was his vision. Other people helped him execute it, but he told the story, so it had a consistent voice throughout, so it kept its arc. So there is a difference to that. Did I like Rise of Skywalker? I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was a really poor... Out of all of the films we've seen, including The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I think it is the most poorly constructed, like on a technical level. I think it looks beautiful. Obviously, advancements in cameras and CGI and all that stuff is going to give it an edge in that way. But as far as storytelling goes, character motivations, the characters in general, characterization, the story, it's probably the least coherent out of all of the Star Wars films to date. But I still enjoyed it because it felt more like Star Wars than The Last Jedi. It felt more like Star Wars, honestly, than The Force Awakens did. But it was just a messy, messy, messy film. It gave off last-minute school project vibes. It was complete but not finished. Yeah, I get that. It was just because, and I don't put any of this on JJ. This was never JJ's intent. It was never his plan. He bit the bullet and came in to wrap things up, to do a bunch of studio mandated things. A lot of his decisions were even kind of thrown out the window because they didn't like those either. So he was just stitching together what the studio wanted to kind of try to remedy the discontent in the fandom after the last movie, and really ended up satisfying the same amount of people. Like, it was just as divisive on that front, while trying to appease everybody, or the broadest spectrum of people. But for the people that like The Last Jedi, for the most part, they ended up not liking a lot of the decisions that were made in The Rise of Skywalker. Conversely, a lot of the people that didn't like The Last Jedi liked a lot of the changes that were in there, but at the end of the day, they had like a very polarizing film at the end of it. It was just very stitched together. So yeah, it was rough. Rough. Hey, hon. How you doing? What'd you think of the Anti-Monitor as a bad guy? He was whatever. As far as a bad guy goes, like, yeah, he's stupid powerful, and he's just evil to be evil. Like, he was all right. He was just standard, multiversal bad guy. Nothing crazy. I didn't like that he turned into a giant, like, Power Rangers monster in the final episode, but it was all right. It was fine. Thoughts about Colin Jost and his bro writing the new TMT live action film. As long as it looks better than the Michael Bay film version, I'll be fine. I love TMNT. I love the Turtles. As long as they have a clean design for the Turtles, I'm down. Bad Batch Season 2 was announced. I'm not excited. That's weird because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It feels weird. I don't anticipate the new episodes, and I'm not anticipating this new season. All the power for you. While I haven't jived with every episode, I've still been enjoying the ride. Like, even the Clone Wars, I didn't like every episode of the Clone Wars, but yeah, I've overall been enjoying it. Like, the stories that have focused on the, like, they've really moved the plot forward has, like, been some of the stuff that I really enjoyed. What's up, Philip? I wouldn't have been surprised if this was the only season, though. I was actually kind of surprised that they got a season 2. Is the Suicide Squad that good? Everyone is hyping it up. Try to tune out any of the hype and just go into it with your baseline expectations and see where you go. Because I don't want people to overhype it for you either. Because once people start to overhype things, I think that's when you set things up for disappointment. But yeah, for me, second favorite DCEU film. Last Jedi broke the immersion in critical ways from start with putting Hux on hold.
Yeah, it's jokes like that that just don't make sense either. Really hope Suicide Squad versus Justice League would be good. Plus, I hope that the skins from the movie, I really want to play Harley in the red dress. I still think Harley had the best outfit in the opening of the film. You know, her classic colors, the leather. I like that look, and I was sad that wasn't her look throughout the rest of the movie. However, the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League game, I'm also on edge about that because it's going to be multiplayer. So again, I feel like once you add multiplayer in the game, you're also kind of opening it up for risks for being a little clunky, but we'll see. Also, they said it's set in the same world as Arkham Asylum, but clearly in the trailers it can't be. So I don't know. I've got my apprehensions for the game, but I again try to be what's the word? Like cautiously optimistic about it. Either way, I'll just think if it's a own thing, and we'll see where it goes. It's funny me listening to some of this because I was watching cartoons, reading comics from the early 70s, and it was just such a different time. Yeah. What's funny is like back then, like a lot of this stuff was happening all the time, and nobody was really voicing it. Like what a lot of people would cry about right now, are the same people that were completely okay with it in the 70s, 80s, all that. If that same stuff came out now, people would cry and bitch about that too. You know, like there's ways to tell it. Like people are just so jaded and they're making everything political when it's not meant to be. However, there are clear times when you can tell when a movie is doing exactly that, and that was The Last Jedi. Like you can't divorce it from the contemporary era in which it was constructed. You can divorce Star Wars from the 70s and 80s from its era because its themes are universal. They can apply to any and every era. And that's why it feels different. You know, nobody, and I'm sure there were, but like if you brought out A New Hope today, I guarantee you, like if it was a brand new movie, no one had ever heard of Star Wars before, but if you brought Star Wars A New Hope out today, people would bitch and moan about Leia. 100%. 100% people would complain about Leia. Ta-da. Crazy theory. Yeah, Thor Ragnarok is a pretty good comparison. Like it's very different, detached. It's insane, over the top, grounded sometimes, but it's just bonkers, man. It's just woo. A crazy theory is Nala Se removed Crosshair's chip. I'm wrong, but riding down the hill regardless. Go for it. I'm up for anything at this point. Do I think Venom 2 would be rated R? I doubt it, but I wish it was. I hope it is. Just so that they don't have to put on the kitty gloves when it comes to Cletus Cassidy and Carnage. Polka-Dot Band's virus thing was very weird. Funny, nightmare fuel, and sad all in one. Yeah. I got really attached to that character too. I thought David Dastmalchian did a really good job with him. For such a F-list character, to get characterization like that, while as weird and as different as it was, because it is a deviation from the comics. In the comics, he's not a meta, so but I like what they did with it, and I like the way that they built him up in it. Again, a lot of these characters are, as we talked about earlier, different versions of these characters, and that's again how you gotta play with the fun of it. Like sometimes a comic book can change from week to week, from writer to writer as they pick up the next issue. Like you just gotta roll with it sometimes. But I really like what they did with him, and they made a character that I would never have given two shits about into somebody that I was like, actually got me emotional a couple times. Am I going to watch Lucifer Season 6 when it comes out? Unfortunately, I won't be watching it when it comes out because I haven't seen any episodes of Lucifer. So yeah, Her opening outfit was really cute. I agree. I really like that opening outfit. So good. I'm just a sucker for the classic Harley Quinn outfit still. So I like seeing those colors come up, and I don't like it when she's overly slutified. It's probably the incorrect word to go with that, but like, I don't know. You know what I mean. Speaking of, I am, however, extremely excited for season 3 of Harley Quinn, the animated show. That show's so good. Again, different version of these characters, so you just got to roll with it. I love it. It's so much fun. I'm surprised Hollywood hasn't done a live-action Captain Planet. Funny story, Ted Turner, who is the creator of Captain Planet, had been trying to make a live-action Captain Planet for 1,000 years. He was the head of Turner, Time Warner, and that whole thing for a long time until it got bought out. Now it got bought out by AT&T and Warner Brothers and all that, so who knows what's going to happen with it. But yeah, he was definitely trying to push for that a couple years back, and I don't think any headway ever came with it. But I also think he wanted to play Captain America, Captain Planet, and I don't think that was really going to go off very well. After all those years, people are still leaving the cinema when the ending credits starts in comic book movies. Funny thing is, like, and my girlfriend can attest to this, like, anytime a movie wraps, I just pull out my phone and I just Google, does this movie have a post-credit scene? Because some of them don't, some of them do. So I'm just like, always, like, you never know anymore, because it's become, you start to see it in non-comic book films every now and then too. So I was like, all right, well, does this have one? No? Okay, we're good to go. We can leave. Otherwise, I'm like, all right, we're staying. So yeah. But a lot of people, yeah, as soon as it comes out, people leave. Don Cheadle will always be my Captain Planet. Oh my God. What skit was that from? Was that Funny or Die? I can't remember. I've seen it though. I've seen it. But that's some funny shit, man. I liked Captain Planet for as cheesy as it was. It was so good. Some great memories with that show. Did I hear about the Friday the 13th lawsuit going on? Kane Hodder explains his thoughts. Your thoughts on this? It's a shame because no movie and they can't add things to the game. Yeah. I mean, those are my thoughts. I've talked about it last week, I think, too. I think we were talking about it. I thought it ended. I thought they finally wrapped it up. I would like to know what Kane Hodder thinks about the whole thing, though. Not watched Lucifer? Oh, shame. You're missing out. Really think you'd like it. I'm sure I would. I didn't know what it was for like the longest time. Like, I was just like, oh, I just thought it was another one of these like True Bloods on TV or whatever. So I was like, I never watched it. I didn't even know it was connected to the DC Lucifer at all. So like, that's another reason as well. I never really gave it a second thought until much later. Can't wait for season 3 of Harley Quinn. Totally going to read the new comics that take place between season 2. I didn't know they had comics. Thank you, Captain J, for both of those super chats, my dude. Those super chat stickers. Super stickers. Stickers. Got popcorn and 100. Yeah. I didn't know they were making comics between about the Harley Quinn series, like the animated series. I'll have to look into those. Speaking of, I read the first issue of the Masters of the Universe Revelation prequel, and it seems to be setting the stage for everything that's kind of coming up. And they're definitely exploring the origins of the Sword of Power and what's going on now. So it's definitely diving into a lot of that old school lore from the toys that even the 80s show, the Filmation series completely ignored. So I'm really curious to see what they do with that. So yeah, unfortunately, which annoys me about prequel comics to anything, I wish they would just all come out at once before a thing comes out, because it kind of defeats the purpose when it's 6 months after the show or the movie came out and you're still waiting on the prequel comic to end. So I wish it was all out at once before it came out. So it's like crazy waiting on it. But it was, the first issue was pretty cool. Next time we get a live action Bane, if it isn't comic accurate, then I'm gonna go crazy. I hope so, man. Bane deserves some love in the on the screen. Speaking of Bane, he's my favorite character in the Harley Quinn animated series. That's a lie. Ivy is my favorite character. But my second favorite is definitely Bane in the Harley Quinn animated series. It's a mini comic series of 6 issues named the Harley Quinn animated series The Eat, Bang, Kill Tour. Oh, great. Sometimes you gotta check if there is an end credit scene so I can go pee quicker. True. Very true. Sometimes that bladder, it just cannot make it through some of these movies anymore. Though surprisingly been doing a pretty decent job here lately. Hell yeah. James Gunn needs to make a Spawn movie. I don't know if James Gunn's tone would work with Spawn. Spawn's not really a jokey kind of comic, or even really a dark humor kind of comic. I'd be interested in seeing it. I just don't know. That wouldn't be my first thought for a Spawn adaptation, though. I remember those old days when you used to go to the theater at midnight to see that new movie. Nowadays, it's Thursday nights, not the same vibes. It's because they realized that they can make more money by showing it more times earlier in the day. Yeah, man, I miss midnight screenings. I miss going to a movie at midnight. I loved it. Anytime something I loved came out, something huge, you better bet and believe I was there at midnight. And you always had the craziest crowds at midnight. One of the most memorable to me, like rewinding back, was going to the midnight premiere of Revenge of the Sith. You had people cosplaying, you had people with lightsabers, which you can't even do that anymore. You can't dress up and go to these movie events anymore for the most part. A lot of places won't even let you in with even prop weapons, not even the little noodle lightsabers or anything like that anymore, man. Going in, like I had this janky ass Anakin costume. I went in with my lightsaber and it was some crazy shit. You had people fighting with their lightsabers in the hall, in the aisles and everything. You had one guy in the middle who was just yelling Star Trek stuff at everybody. It was nuts. It was so funny. Good times, man. Hold up a minute. I just realized, where the hell is a Clayface? What? Where the hell is a Clayface? Takes place after Harley and Ivy took off at the end of season 2. Ooh, alrighty. I wish they would do like a He-Man, or do like with He-Man to do it with, so do like what they've done with He-Man with the Thundercats. Dude, I would be so down for that. I love Thundercats. Oh, Psy Girl, thank you for the super chat. For the super, is that a pear? Gosh, some of these stickers are kind of crazy. Thank you for that. That's so generous. I really appreciate that.
Streamer.
Suicide Squad was much more blood and slicing and killing, and I like that actually. Me too, man. I mean, it's villains. You gotta take off the kitty gloves when you're playing with exclusively villains. I mean, the comics are about the same as well. The comics themselves have pretty much the same body count. I mean, when you're playing exclusively with villains, you just got to take off the hero gloves a little bit and play with it. But yeah, I would love to see them do a revamp of Thundercats. And I don't know if we've talked about it before, but there is a live action Thundercats in development by coming from Adam Wingard, who was the guy that the director of Godzilla vs. Kong. He's working on a live action Thundercats, so I'm hoping that ends up pretty cool. Fortunately, the last Thundercats reboot that came out was not what I was hoping for, so I'd really like to see like a Masters of the Universe Revelation style like powerhouse animated Thundercats. That would be dope. Man, midnight screenings before you could pre-order your seats was amazing. Nostalgia to the max. What's sad is, especially around here, the last film I've seen at a midnight showing, because they stopped doing them altogether, the last film right now, until something changes in the future, is Twilight Breaking Dawn. Is the last midnight screening film I've seen. And that pains me. That hurts my soul. that was the last midnight showing of a movie that I've seen. I wish I could send the cover of the first issue here. It's a beautiful cover in my opinion. I'll look it up later. Or put it in the Discord. Join the Discord. Slap it in there. I'll take a look at it there. My bad. I meant, where the hell is a live action Clayface? Dude, that would be awesome. Who are some villains that we have never seen in live action that you would love to see done in live action? This could be Marvel or DC or hell, anything else. Hopefully I recognize it. But yeah, throw it out there, man. I'd love to see a live action Clayface. I think that would be cool. I think that would be really neat. Like, it'd kind of be like Sandman, except he can't, except a little more horrific. Don't do theaters too much personally. I can count the movies I've seen in theaters since the 90s on one hand. Kind of sad. Dude, man, I saw let's say 2019, because 2020 I saw a bunch of movies. No, 2020 was, Jesus, I can't even remember time anymore. 2019 I think was the year I saw the most movies in theaters. It was like 50 something. I saw 50 something movies in theaters in 2019. Man, I just love the experience. The movie I've seen the most in theaters has been The Dark Knight. I saw that movie like 5 times in theaters. I know I'm gonna be trying to see some like older films, not older, but older films that are coming out, because every so often they do like these releases of old films or whatever. And throughout September, the theaters around here are doing the extended Lord of the Rings films, and I'm definitely gonna be checking those out. Finally got to saw Jurassic Park again for the first time in theaters, the original, since I was 5, because that was one of the first movies I had ever seen in a movie theater, was Jurassic Park. Saw that in theaters, saw Jaws in theaters, man. Like Empire Strikes Back, finally saw it for the first time in theaters. It was a lot of fun. I like when they do stuff like that, when it's something like I really want to see. I know they've also got like Back to the Future planned on coming up, and I'm really looking forward to that. The Phantasm. Wait, the Phantom or Phantasm? Because Phantasm is a horror film with this crypt keeper who works in a morgue, and these people come in, and he has these like silver balls with these spikes that hunt people through these corridors. Did you hear they were working on Nightmare on Elm Street? The last did bad in movie theaters. I haven't heard that they were rebooting it. But yeah, no, the last film I thought was terrible. I did not like it whatsoever. The only reason I have it is because it was included in a pack of Jason and Freddy films that I bought. The most movies I watched in the theater in a year was like 2 or 3. Damn. Dark Knight is one of those few I've seen in the theater. It was a glorious in IMAX. I have never seen a movie in IMAX, sad to say. There's just not one here or around here. I'd have to drive like 4 or 5 hours just to go to one. Now I've seen like IMAX at a theme park, because that's the same kind of screen they use for a lot of those immersive theme park rides. The Phantom is a movie already. Right. No, I was just wondering if like Terrain was meaning the Phantasm films or the Phantom film. No, we didn't get to. We didn't get to go. We were going to, but we didn't. We just saw Split and Detective Pikachu, I think, was the only 2 we saw while we were out in Albuquerque.
Did you watch Silverhawks? My brother absolutely loved it. I didn't. I never saw Silverhawks. Never saw Silverhawks. Have we seen Nova in live action yet? I don't remember. No, we have not yet. In October, they're going to put Scream 1 in there for the 25th anniversary, and they're going to show something for Scream 5. I'm going to keep an eye out for that then, because I'm really excited for that. What's up, Cody? I'm doing all right. I woke up around like 2:30 in the afternoon because I accidentally took a longer nap than I had intended to last night, and I ended up being awake all night long. So yeah, I haven't had much of a day yet, but so far it's been pretty good, especially because you guys have been helping make it an entertaining little day. Yeah, we drove 2.5 hours to see The Dark Knight in IMAX. Was worth it. Yeah, I'm gonna need to just bite the bullet and just do that one of these days. What's up, Jamie? Never seen a movie in IMAX. My brother had. He told me it was amazing. I'd like to see a movie in 40X. I think that would be interesting. I know there's only, what, 3 of those in the country, though? 3, like, there's like a handful of 40X theaters in the U.S. A live-action Family Guy. I'm okay. What's up, Kevin? I'm well and done on the Family Guy scene. I was like everybody else for a long time. I was obsessed with it just as much as everybody else, but after a little while, I definitely got burned out on it. Live action One Piece. That would be interesting, terrifying, and also really hard to do in a satisfying way. There's only been one, I think, good, like truly good, like live action anime adaptation that I've seen. And it was the Rurouni Kenshin series that have come out in the last, 10 years, the live action films. The action is some of the best I've seen too, and just in anything. Like when it comes to sword play, so good. I still haven't finished the series yet, but it's pretty dope. Clayface, Red Hulk, Condiment King, Poison Ivy. I really would like to see a new Poison Ivy come about. A new Bane, new Poison Ivy. I'd really like to see another good take on a Scarecrow. Mr. Freeze is like a villain I'm surprised we haven't really touched on in a long time. He's such a good character, man. Such a good character. Some more. Yeah, man. Suicide Squad 3. Let's break out Condiment King. James Gunn, come on. What you doing? You slacking, man. Live action Masters of the Universe needs to happen. I mean, it could. They could definitely do that. Dragon Ball Z. I'd love to see it, but it's one of those things that is just like in live action, it would look really wonky, but I will always say it. I think Man of Steel is the closest we've gotten to this day to what a good Dragon Ball Z live action film could look like. Like the battle between Superman and Zod is what I imagine a battle like between Goku and any other villain would look like in live action. Do you remember the movie with Wishmaster? I love every one of the sequels. I've seen a bunch of like joke reviews on the Wishmaster series, but I never actually watched the Wishmaster series myself. Man, there's so many older horror movies that I watched a lot. Do you remember Puppet Master? I watched that obsessively for a long time. Even the more recent one that came out straight to video like a few years ago. Who would be He-Man or who would be Adam? Man, you need somebody to be jacked. Well, hold up. There is a live action He-Man movie in the works. There was somebody cast as He-Man, but they just backed out of the film like a few months ago.
Hold on. Because they had Adam cast, but I forget who it was. Yeah, that's not it. I can't find it anymore. Or at least I'm not typing in the right things right now. The only things coming up whenever I type it in is the Revelations for some reason. There it is. Noah Centineo had been cast as Prince Adam / He-Man. That's the guy that was going to be playing Prince Adam, but he has since left the project from the last time I saw an update on the movie. It was originally going to be directed by John Woo. And this thing's got a long ass history, and it still made it nowhere. Yeah, I think they had to have just scrapped this thing, because the last update on the film was that it was going to release in March 5th, 2021. Oh, damn. Do I read or / watch fantasy fiction? What are my most anticipated movies and shows coming? Besides Dune, I cannot wait for the Wheel of Time series. I don't read much of anything. For me, I'm a visual person. Reading for me, it's really hard for me to go into something dry. A lot of the time, if you catch me reading something, it's because it's an extension of something I'm already invested in. Like, I got into Game of Thrones, so I bought the books, and I've read all of Game of Thrones now. I got into Harry Potter. Conversely, I watched the films first, then I read all the books. Well, no, that's not true. I saw 1 through 5, and at that point, I decided to read the books. And I had read all of the books before Harry Potter 6 came out. Star Wars stuff, like obviously I watched Star Wars first, then I read some of the books. Halo plus books. Lord of the Rings is one of those ones I've really wanted to get into. I've only read The Hobbit, and originally that was just because my school had required me to read The Hobbit. I was one of the few people that actually did the assignment when we were supposed to. But I have since, because that Lord of the Rings show is coming out, and I'm hoping it's not going to flop because they've spent so much money on it, I have since bought all of these, which hopefully is going to fill in my knowledge of Lord of the Rings from the book side of things, because I think that's what the series is going to be pulling more from the mythology of the books, obviously, since it's set way before the films take place. But I'm going to be diving head first into the Tolkienverse to get through those. But Dune, likewise, since I know this movie's coming out, I'm not going to read the book beforehand. I've never read it before, so I'm going to wait for the film to come out, because I don't want to spoil the movie. So the movie's going to come out probably before I can even finish the book, so I'll be watching that first, and then that'll be one of those things, because I don't want to go into a movie comparing it to the book, because I see a lot of people that do that, and a lot of the times they're upset. For me, I appreciate the differences between one and the other, and I don't associate them together when I do it the way I do it. It also makes it easier for me to imagine what the characters look like when I have an idea of who plays them in my head. Like with the Jurassic Park novel, I had to kind of do something different, though, with that, because obviously those characters are very different from the live on-screen versions of the characters. But I still think in that case, the movie did it better than the book in a lot of ways. Anyway, I'd love to see an origin movie for Clayface. Gotta tell you, I've never seen one in DC animated movies or show ever. Need to watch the animated series.
I definitely would recommend the animated films that have come out in the last 10, 15 years. They've got their own shared connected universe that has been popping off, and it's been pretty dope. I want to see Green Arrow in the DCEU. Who would they cast? I don't know. I would love to see Oliver Queen pop up, but I don't know. As far as who they would cast, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. They gotta have a strong goatee, is all I gotta say. Their goatee game's got to be stronger than mine. I don't know. I don't know who I would pick. I don't know. That's a good question, Captain J. In my ideal world, they would do a live action He-Man, live action She-Ra, and then a live action crossover. That would be awesome. I'd be down for that. Puppet Master, watch every one of them on Amazon Prime. Subscribe to the horror channel. Definitely going to buy the trilogy and the new one. Very dark, very different from the rest. Very. Yep. Man, I don't know, man. As much as I love a lot of horror still to this day, I feel like you just can't beat some of the old school stuff that's been made, man. It's just so wonky and whatever. Why are you popping in those shady eyes? Huh? Hun? What you doing? Why? Imagine blonde Keanu Reeves is the DC Green Arrow. I don't know if I'd want Keanu Reeves to play Green Arrow. I can imagine him as I don't know. Who would I cast Keanu Reeves as in the DC universe? Ooh, I think he'd be a cool Azrael. So you read the 50 Shades books after watching it then? Hell no, man. Hell no. I gotta enjoy what I'm watching, man. Those books are a joke, though. I hope the Dune movie is so good that it pulls you into the book series. It is deep. That's what I've heard, man. I've always heard that about Dune. It's one of the reasons I've always been too intimidated to check it out. Obviously, up until not a couple years ago, it probably would have been one of those things that might not have been able to keep my interest. But now that's a little bit different. Avoids comparisons, and for me, it's a better sequence to do things. Hope Dune succeeds. I'm going in totally blind, but the trailer looks outstanding. Agreed. What do you think about Rick Flagg's death? I was very sad. Honestly, it was one of those moments that made me really sad. But also in that same moment, it also gave us arguably the best visual performance I've ever seen from John Cena in a film that I've ever seen him in. Like in that moment, because there's genuine a rush of emotions going through his head in that scene as well. I get it. It just sucks. And not in a bad way. It was just it was sad. It broke my heart, man. Quite literally for him as well. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. What's happening, man? What's up, Ramon? Sent the first issue cover on TV General. All right, let me check it out. Oh, hell yeah. Dude, I love fucking Barbara's face on the corner there. That's so good. And Jim. Dude, Jim Gordon in the Harley Quinn animated series was insane. Rick Flag will come back. There's always a way. It's DC Comics. I would say in the comics, yeah. I don't know about for the films. I think the films are a little more willing to detach themselves from specific characters. But who knows? If Flashpoint happens post the Suicide Squad, maybe the reset will bring some of these characters back. But that's the thing. What I like about the Suicide Squad, man. Some of these characters, they are expendable at the end of the day. They are if you're anybody other than Harley Quinn, you can be killed off. If Doom sucks, it'd be really disappointing. I feel like it definitely will be for a long time. Should play Gunhawk. The hell is Gunhawk?
I have never heard of that. There was one time when I literally saw a guy holding a book while watching a movie on cinema and was comparing the movie to the book throughout the whole thing. Why would you do that? Unless you were like working on like a project or something like that. Why would you do that? Why would you obsess over it that much? Because then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. Like why would you do that? See, and I thought that's what the well, I won't say. That's what I thought the final end credits scene was going to be, like with the choice of words that they were saying, like when they were describing what was going on, but it ended up being somebody else. So, and I was like sad. I was sad at who it was at the end anyway. Am I ready to watch Free Guy? Everyone who's seen this kept saying it's good. To be honest, I wasn't that interested with it. I was going to see it. I was definitely going to see it regardless because I thought it was a funny premise and it's got Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi in it, so I was definitely going to watch it. It seemed like that typical Hollywood doesn't understand video games kind of movie, so I was expecting to go into it kind of cringing, but I mean, all the reactions I'm seeing to it, it seems like it's a pretty fun ride, and that's really all I expect from it. As long as I have fun with it, sure, I'll go for it. Supposedly, the guy that directed Free Guy is up for directing, is possibly signed on to direct Deadpool 3. So we'll see. We'll see. So this might be a little preview of his style. Bruce and Selena, do they ever become a thing, or it never works out because of the lifestyles? Well, they hook up all the time, and they were slated to get married. Like, they had a wedding plan. They were engaged for a couple years in the comics, and then, of course, came wedding day, and they decided not to go through with it. I just hate shit like that, man. They just need to commit. Superman's got Lois. Batman needs that Selena. I think Keanu could play an older Nightwing. That's the thing, though. With Keanu how he is now, he definitely would have to play an older most people. So that's kind of where I was going with that one. For sure. James Gunn should make Lobo. Oh, dude. James Gunn and Lobo would be a great combination. That'd be a great combination. He could play a Black Mask, probably. I don't know if he's not as hot-headed. I don't think he's got the emotive range, honestly, to play Black Mask. Because Black Mask is a very eccentric and angry character. And I don't know that I could buy that from Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves has a very specific way of acting that you kind of got to play people that are similar to Keanu Reeves for it to really work, I think. They're making sure their expectations weren't subverted. In Birds of Prey 2002 show, they actually have a kid. Yep. On Another Earth, they even had that kid, because that kid was inspired by their kid from a different universe as well in that. But yeah, Helena Kyle was Batman and Selena Kyle's daughter. That show, for as cheesy as it was for the time, has this weird endearing quality to it that I really enjoyed. I really surprisingly enjoyed Birds of Prey, the 2002 live action show. I watched it leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths just for shits and giggles. So I'd never seen an episode of it until 2 years ago, 3 years ago, however long it's been. What movies come next after Free Guy in August? Well, let's find out. So on the same day as Free Guy, you got Don't Breathe 2, August 20th. You have Jason Momoa's Sweet Girl, something called The Night House. The Protege, which I saw a trailer for at Suicide Squad and looks kind of interesting. John Wick, another John Wick style kind of film with Michael Keaton and
Sam Jackson, a few other people. Hugh Jackman's Reminiscence comes out August 20th. Then August 27th, you got Candyman, which I'm definitely going to see. You got He's All That and Vacation Friends. And that will close out the month. Who could play as Lobo if they made a movie about him? It's got to be somebody that's got a large, that he's got to be huge, got to be buff. I don't want them doing CGI Lobo. So he's got to be huge and buff, but also a larger than life personality that can play the main man. I don't know, man. That's tough. I don't know anybody that buff that could like bring that personality to life. I mean, conversely, they could make him CGI, but I wouldn't. That never turns out good unless the budget is strong. I mean, Keanu Reeves used to have a little bit of a range. Like, if you rewind back to the beginning of his career, like, you know, he could play, you know, like in Bill and Ted, like he had that, you know, and then he got kind of stoic. He was kind of like, he had a little range in Point Break. And then it all died in The Matrix. Everything after The Matrix, like he can't even go backwards. Like in Bill and Ted Face the Music, he didn't ever feel like Ted again. You know, none of it felt bought. Like I could believe him being that stoner dunce back in the day when he was younger, but I can't buy it now. That was one of the only things that in the movie that kind of took me a little bit out of it, was how it seemed like it was really a struggle for him to emote at all or play that dunderhead character again. Like it seems like after The Matrix, he's been stuck in a very specific mode, and it makes it really hard to buy any of his emotions in anything else he's been in. Like even like some of the projects he's been outside of John Wick, like shit, what was the one with the women that come into break into his house and seduce him and then try to kill him? I forget. Knock Knock, I think. Yeah, he tries, man, and it just makes it so cartoony. Like I can't buy it. So like it only works with somebody that is cold and cut off, because I feel like that's just who he is. I think he's gone through so much tragedy in his life right now, he physically can't like express like all of his emotions anymore. And that's just me projecting or trying to analyze like him as a human being, because that's the only difference in the world, in his life, that's happened in a long time now. I don't know, man. So it's kind of got to be somebody that plays kind of like John Wick for him to be believable in the role anymore. I enjoyed it, but the opening scene with Batman and Catwoman suits felt painfully cheap. It's 2002. It was a WB show. What do you expect? However, the suit, those were like straight rips of the Tim Burton suits that they used for those. The new Tomb Raider was great. They are going to do another. I love the actress Alicia Vikander. I haven't seen I haven't seen the new reboot. I haven't seen the one that's inspired by the new games. I haven't watched that one yet. The trailer though, it always made me laugh every time I saw it. Whenever she jumped onto the plane, the editing on that scene, it was just so goofy. It always made me laugh. So next week I'll be watching 2 movies. Free Guy and Don't Breathe, 100%. Hopper from Stranger Things could play Lobo, or Dave Bautista. I could see David Harbour. Again, I think you'd have to CGI him, or he would have to just get incredibly jacked for a Lobo. Dave Bautista, I don't think he's got that much range. I know he's played like not range. He's got range. I don't think he can play up that eccentricness that is required for Lobo. He kind of goes that direction with Drax in the more recent Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but I don't know. I don't know if he can go that eccentric, but we'll see.
MCU Shang-Chi versus Dragon Ball Evolution Goku. Probably Shang-Chi. Because Dragon Ball Evolution Goku is a bitch. I'm pretty sure I heard that Megan Fox wants to join the DC or Marvel. Honestly, she should be a good Poison Ivy. You know, I feel bad, honestly, because like Megan Fox is one of those actresses that I gave a lot of shit for things that apparently were completely out of her control. Like back in the day. I was like, she plays the same kind of character. And I don't know. I think I projected that onto her person, but like, you know, seeing her in more recent things and having her talking about things and stuff like that, yeah, it's like, I'd love to see her in more stuff, to be honest now. She'd be a good Poison Ivy, I think. I really want to watch that movie she was just in. What was it? With her husband or whatever, trying to kill her. Not trying to kill her. He kills himself and traps her with his body or some shit. I can't remember. Till Death? I think it was Till Death. Until Death. Kind of want to see that. We saw part of what? I don't remember what I was talking about whenever you said that, to be honest, son. So, refresh me. Really looking forward to Halloween Kills. Going to be insane. I cannot wait. Speaking of Megan Fox, seeing the first Transformers in theaters makes my heart hurt with nostalgia. I think that was the only good one. Out of the Michael Bay films, I think that was the only good Transformers film. So I think James Gunn would be a good director for a Green Lantern Corps movie. Yeah, I think he'd be a great director for a lot of things, but you'd have to rein in a lot of those things that make James Gunn James Gunn. Because then you would just have this director who has a specific style you'd have to rein in for that. Because his general style, aesthetic, and feeling, like his tone that he loves playing with, doesn't fit for that kind of story. But I think he could do good with it. He would do a good job with it, but I feel like he wouldn't be able to go to his James Gunniest in it. Have I watched The Accountant with Ben Affleck? I haven't. I feel like it gets criminally overlooked as John Wick pretty much dominated the genre around that time, but The Accountant is a bit smarter. I haven't seen The Accountant. I wanted to see it, but it was one of those films I just didn't get around to seeing. But sounds like you would recommend it, I would imagine. I would like to see Dave Bautista play as a mutant leader from The Dark Knight Returns or Bane. What do you think? I would love to see him as Bane. He really wants to play Bane, and I think if he has a strong conviction for playing that character, I think he could do a really good job with it. And I think he looks the part. He could do it. Give him Bane. Give him Bane. But also make it a bit comic accurate Bane. Let's do that. Do I play the Marvel's Champions game? Marvel, I've never heard of Marvel. I don't know what Marvel Champions is. I have not heard of it. We saw part of Tomb Raider when we visited your parents. Oh yeah! I forgot about that. We saw like the last 20, 30 minutes of the Tomb Raider movie, and oh my god, we were fucking laughing. Oh yeah, we were tearing that movie apart. Do you agree if a show or any movie has a great storyline and great action and maybe an A or C quality, you would always give it an A? I wouldn't say always. It would have to depend on how great the storyline and the action was. A lot of the time, I will grade things on my enjoyment of the film rather than the technical aspects of the film, unless one or the other greatly overshadow it. Like if the technical aspects of it greatly overshadowed the story, or like if the story's shit but the movie's put together pretty well, I don't know if I would grade it about the same. I don't know. I have a very inconsistent grading scale, to be honest. That's why sometimes I will give a movie two scores, like my enjoyment score and my critical score. But most of the time, unless I specify it one way or the other, I try to keep those things combined. But I do think that despite the quality, if the storyline is good and the action is good and the acting is good. If it's low budget, if the CGI is poor, if everything else is good, I can ignore that. I can ignore that. I'm not going to hold a movie back by based on the CGI if like everything else is fantastic. Yeah, so I'll give it that. Uma Thurman had a potential as Poison Ivy, but Batman and Robin was what it was. I agree. I definitely agree with you with that one. When we see the new X-Men content, how do you think they will be introduced in the MCU? I have no idea. None. I have no idea. My family is still having an argument about Doctor Who. What's the argument? I'd be curious to know. Favorite horror villain? Yours is Jason from Friday the 13th. Mine is Michael Myers. I just love Michael. I love the aesthetic. I like the tone. I like the feel. It's a lot of fun. Welcome to the Omniverse as a champion, Stagger. Thank you for that. Thank you for joining. Make sure you link up in the Discord and all that stuff so I can make sure you get the roles and all that. And then the reaction shite spreadsheet. Make sure you can get into that. Which story and doctor is the best? That's a hard... My voice cracked. That's a hard discussion to really break into. I find myself, like, I used to be exclusively David Tennant. But I think he appeals more to my more immature and edgier days. You know? I still love him to death. But like Peter Capaldi and Matt Smith kind of appeal to me a lot more now than they did initially when I was watching it on the first run. And then of course Tom Baker's really strong. But it's just so hard for me to pick a favorite because at the end of the day, they're all the same character. So like there's the technicality of it all, but I don't know, man. That's another thing. It made me really excited about the Suicide Squad was seeing how Peter Capaldi played into it, and I had fun with that. Seeing him get to go all Scottish rage fest on everybody. In my opinion, Harley Quinn shows Poison Ivy is the best adaptation ever. Very different adaptation, but definitely enjoyable. Definitely enjoyable. Can we talk spoilers to the Suicide Squad? We can. Just Captain J, beware. I know you haven't seen it yet. You've already had a couple things in here I hope you've avoided. We still need to do our horror movie marathon. We do. Just need to find some time when I'm not working on something or we're both exhausted. Love Michael because, to be honest, Halloween, it's still standing strong now. It's still current. It never gets old. It's classic. And he's just, I don't know. Like, there's a level of camp when it comes to Jason. Ha! I'm a genius. And that's one of the reasons, like, I've never been too gravitated towards, like him and Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, there's always, like, a campiness level to those films. And I feel like the Halloween series always took itself seriously. And that's why I thought it made Michael more menacing. Like, it's just like... Plus the aesthetic. I think he's scarier looking. You know? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Also, I have a strong bias towards other things named Michael, so... If you could save one character from the Suicide Squad, which one would I save? I'd save Michael Rooker's character, Savant or Boomerang for the Flash movie. I was sad seeing Boomerang go, man. That hurt. Honestly, close your ears, anybody who doesn't want to know about spoilers for this movie. If you haven't already learned by now, I would have saved Polka-Dot Man. If I could save one character, it would be Polka-Dot, man. If Jeepers Creepers sleeps for 23 years and only kills for 1 month every 23 years, can Freddy Krueger torture him? Yes. Theoretically, yes. I like the way you think, man. Speaking of the classic horror killers, I'm really excited for this new Chucky series that's coming out. You knew I'd say Polka-Dot Man. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Definitely. I wanted to see more of him. He had an arc, dude, and I was like, I liked it. Damn. Nicety. I mean, if I had to pick anybody else, yeah, definitely Captain Boomerang would be pretty high on the list. And I am sad that Flag died, but I think that they're setting up for Idris Elba to be the leader of the team moving forward. Ratcatcher 2 was a character I surprisingly really loved and was endeared to. She felt like she shouldn't have been there. Like, didn't seem like she killed anybody. She just robbed from a bank, and she ended up at Bel Rev. And she's just like, I don't know, man. I felt bad for her the entire time. She was the heart and soul of the movie, and I really felt endeared to her character and her story. Her and Sebastian. And yeah, Idris Elba, man, I loved him in this role. Loved him so much. I love that man and everything I've seen him in. But yeah, he was so good at it. Somehow the movie made me love a rat. Sebastian was adorable. Agreed. It's funny how we've had so many vastly different versions of King Shark too here recently. We've got the Flash version, which is originally was very violent, large, huge, powerful, visually beautiful, and yeah, turned a little intellectual in the end, kind of an anti-hero towards the end of it, who was really awesome. Then you have the Harley Quinn version, which is like a tech nerd who has a taste for blood. So it's really funny because he's like this timid, nerdy tech IT guy, shark, and then occasionally he eats somebody. And then this one, he's just basically just like a toddler that just wants friends and a family, but at the same time is just unabashedly always hungry for flesh. You know, the Chucky, I would watch more of him. I definitely want to learn more about Charles' backstory. Me too. I would love to see if them like dive more into Charles Lee Ray prior to him being in the doll. Why isn't that a show or a movie? Why don't we explore Charles Lee Ray before he becomes Chucky the doll? Why has nobody done that? You just blew my mind. Imagine all the rats she could work with in New York. Oh my God. Like on the way home, that is literally what we talked about in the car. I was like, could you imagine if Ratcatcher summoned all the rats in New York City? Damn. Sebastian, Baby Groot, Grogu, King Shark. I love. Can we get a man bat that jump scares the shit out of you for 20 minutes straight like Arkham? All right, plus Pizza Rat. You gotta remind me of that, man. The Chucky show casted a kid version of Charles E. Ray. They did? I didn't know that. We might get a little bit of what we want. Did I like seeing old Oliver in Legends Season 1? I think it was. I did. I like how they clarified that they had accidentally crossed into another Earth later in that, just to kind of make it make sense as a retcon. But yeah, I did. I like that. I like that little tease. I like the future Oliver with the one arm and stuff. There's not very many future storylines of a lot of these characters that I really appreciate, but that's one of the ones I kind of dug. Man-Bat would scare the shit out of me. Hell yeah. Just popping out around corners every time you go around through things. Probably because prequels always give plot holes or takes away the less mysterious backgrounds of the antagonist. That's the thing, though. He's just a serial killer. Like, he's nothing special. He just has a little bit of a dabbling in voodoo. I don't feel like you could lose a lot of the... There's not really... Chucky with Charles Lee Ray, I don't think there's a lot of loss that you could have in the character by learning more about them. Michael Myers is one of those characters, like the enigma of what he is, like learning how and why he operates takes a little bit of the mysticism away from him. But that's because like his motives are a mystery. Charles Lee Ray is a human. He's just a guy that loves to kill. He's just a psychopath. He's a sadistic, fun-loving killer. And I don't feel like learning more about Charles Lee Ray would take away from Chucky. Because we met Charles Lee Ray before we met Chucky to begin with. So I'd like to see how he learned voodoo or some of his backstories, maybe him and a young Tiffany. That'd be cool. For the next Suicide Squad, I think it'd be better for Harley to just be in her own movie. Yeah, I think they just need to leave Harley out of these Suicide Squad movies at this point. Felt like Harley is the only character that wouldn't die and felt no danger. Agreed. I think that's the same reason. I like seeing her there. I like her playing with that. She's a very well-known member of the Suicide Squad, but I think after 2 films, it's time to, if we make more Suicide Squads, to definitely not include her in the next one. Gotta go. Thanks. Well, thanks for hanging out, Mandy. I hope you have a great evening and get some rest. We'll talk later. I have a theory that Chucky met Pinhead during his 3rd time dying because when he sees the cop with nails in his face, he's like, where have I seen that before? It's possible. It is possible. It could also exist in the Chucky world as a film. You could think of that too. Who produces Hellraiser? I never really got into the Hellraiser series. I like the first one, sure, but I never really got into any of the other ones after that. Entertainment film. Because Chucky is... Isn't that New Line? I don't remember. Universal. Originally MGM. Okay. Yeah, I didn't remember. Chucky series is going to be flashbacks. Okay, cool. Seeing that Weasel was alive at the end was just a shocker. Honestly, I wasn't too surprised. I thought at some point we might cut back and see Weasel wake up, which I thought was... So I wasn't all that surprised that that happened, to be honest. I mean, the only one whose Peacemaker's shocking betrayal remained one of the betrayal in the cube. Remind me of the... I don't know what the cube is, unfortunately, so no. But I also wasn't surprised by it at the end. Chucky was at my house, I would throw a bomb at that doll. I'd like to see Deadshot and Bloodsport butt heads in the next film. I'd be down for that. It'd be funny seeing them both expert marksmen. I like how they played with a lot of these characters having similar backstories, especially when Waller introduces Bloodsport to Peacemaker, and she literally is explaining to Bloodsport his own backstory when describing Peacemaker to him. Like, they just have the same origin story. And I think that's funny because a lot of the characters in comics tend to lean towards having the similar backstories, especially a lot of the villains. Chucky was trying to enter Andy's body for almost 3 movies, minus the 3rd one. When Tiffany wanted a body, Chucky somehow knew that he needed the necklace now. Probably Pinhead told him. Maybe. Well, he also, like, part of the curse was it's got to be the first innocent eyes that lay eye on you, right?
So like so he can only transfer to a child. After a certain point, he can't use Andy anymore. Like if he gets too old, is my recollection. It might be wrong. I don't know. But like so Andy, he was kind of like imprinted onto Andy. It was Andy or nobody else at that point because of the way the curse works. So I don't know. So yeah, they definitely played around with that one after a while. Fun fact, if you look at all the Earths in Marvel Comics, we are exactly Earth 1208, where superheroes and villains are non-existent, and for a fact, just fictional characters. That's some fun stuff. The Bloodsport versus Peacemaker scene was amazing with the slow motion bullets. I agree. Should watch The Cube, some kind of Saw prototype. I might check it out. Sounds interesting then. There's no way and that Peacemaker can be redeemed for killing Flag. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Right now they got a hill to climb to get me back on his side, man. Oh no, so funny seeing him, Alan Waller curse the hell out of the team when they abandoned their mission at the end. Yeah, dude. Waller, they did a great job with it. Like expanding that character and really showing how evil and vile and fucked up she is in this. Viola Davis did a fantastic job, and I'm glad they didn't recast her from the original film. In the third movie, it moves to a different body, then goes after another kid named Tyler. I thought that was Andy in 3. Yeah, he's chasing Andy in 3. Yeah, he's still trying to get Andy in Child's Play 3. And then he gets chucked into that big old fan. Then all of his parts get brought back together by Tiffany later, I think, right? She finds all of his pieces and brings them back, stitches them back together. Remember, DC was originally circling Oprah and Octavia Spencer for the Amanda Waller role, along with Viola. I think they really did a good job with going with Viola. Oprah, that'd just be weird. I don't know how about that one. Octavia Spencer could have been a good job as well, but like Viola was just awesome. Says Supergirl picks the last days. Melissa did an amazing job of Supergirl. Have you seen her in other movies? Have you seen Waco series? She was in it. No, Supergirl is the only thing I've actually seen her in. Yeah. Sad for the cast, man. Even though Supergirl is probably my least favorite DC show, above Titans. I like it more than Titans. I don't know. I might like it more than Batwoman too. They're about the same level. But yeah, I love the cast more than anything. So like, if I can like praise the show for anything, it's definitely introducing me to the cast members of the show. Last question, then I gotta go. Sorry, bro. If you watched the Ring tape and then moved into a Japanese grudge curse house, messed it up for a week, pissed her off, and then got both to chase you on the 7th day while running to the bathroom and then say Bloody Mary, Jesus Christ, you get to have 3 chicks fighting over you. That's hilarious. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Austin. That's funny as shit, though. When Amanda Waller gets knocked out, it was so satisfying. I agree, man. That hyped me up. I was like, oh my god, somebody's got to do something. Somebody's got to stop her. What the fuck is going to happen? I can't imagine Oprah killing people in Suicide Squad, but I can see her being an authoritative role. Yeah. Did you ever watch The Lady Dragon back in the day? The old Fright Night classic. Watch it before? I have not. Every time I hear you say Andy, I think of Toy Story. Me too. You think when they were making Toy Story, that was like something in their subconscious? Because obviously, you know, Child's Play had come out long before Toy Story had ever been conceived. So do you think that, like, living toys, their owner's name is Andy? I mean, it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. Is the Suicide Squad my favorite DCEU film? No, it's my second favorite at this point. The Snyder Cut's my favorite. Maybe the Andy thing is an inside joke. I could see that. I could see that definitely being the case. I mean, we need streams every day. If I could, I would. Will I be doing a watch-along series for Marvel What If? Will indeed. Yeah, I'll be putting reactions on the channel, and I will be doing the full watch-alongs, just like I am with all the other shows on the Patreon and YouTube memberships. So if you're a champion on Patreon or on YouTube, you will be able to see the full watch-alongs for everything. I'm doing that for all the shows that I'm watching, and the movies that I review that are streaming exclusive. So like Gunpowder Milkshake, which is a Netflix original, I watched that, so that's on there. But like stuff that's in the theater or you have to pay extra for watching, like the Premiere Access, stuff like that, I'm still doing the reviews because I want people to support those movies. So and plus, I'm seeing those in theaters. Like, if I have the chance, I'm going to see it in theaters. Did I see La Llorona? I did not. And do I know who La Llorona is? I do. But that's the only film in the Conjuring universe I have yet to see. In the third film, Andy protected a kid named Tyler from Chucky. I don't fucking remember, man. It's been a long time since I've seen 3. So why did the rules change there? Because he had to... That's weird. I'm curious about that. I don't remember why it changed for that one. I know there was a reason. They had to have explained it, but I don't remember it. X-Men! Question mark? Yes? What's the question? I want to see a live action Atrocicus in the DCEU or a new Green Lantern HBO Max show coming out. Yeah, I can't wait to see the Green Lantern show and see what they do with that. Atrocicus would be pretty freaking sweet, though. Maybe he'll pop up in there. We don't know. Because he had a different doll body, so it reset. Ah, okay. Okay. Fair enough. Snyder Cut was definitely beast. The theatrical release of that movie is an absolute disaster after seeing the Snyder Cut 100%. If you're drafted in the Olympics and had to participate or go to jail, what event would I partake in? Let's go with track and field. Let's do that. I'll just run. Not very fast, but I'll run. I won't win or even come close, but yeah, I'll try. When can we expect to see X-Men make their way into the MCU? And how do you think it may happen? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they might get reintroduced because of the multiverse, possibly. Or the radiation from Thanos, but I don't think we'll get like an inkling of it until maybe after Fantastic Four. I don't know. I really don't know because of it's so weird how things are right now. It can be in 1,000 different ways. So it's just one of those things that I think is a little too too early to predict what they're going to do. Like, I initially thought before we opened the multiverse doors that the radiation from Thanos' snaps, because they mentioned it kept irradiating the world in levels they never saw before. So I thought maybe that would awaken the X gene and people on the planet, but I don't think that's been the case just yet. Not yet, anyway. And then secondly, I thought Wanda was going to create mutants since they were adapting House of M kind of. And instead of no more mutants, she was going to create mutants, and that didn't happen. So I'm thinking maybe the effects of the multiverse might cause it to splinter and bleed into our universe. I don't know. I really want the DCEU Harley to meet up with the TV show Harley so much. That would be hilarious. Into the Harleyverse. And then they talk to a Harley Davidson. Just one of them is a motorcycle. The Olympics are underrepresented this year, so we're starting to draft people for the events, and we're starting with you. Fantastic Four intro to the mutants would make sense. I'm going to go to Walmart, get some candy to sneak into theater. Go for it, man. I usually bring like a Red Bull or something like that in there with my cargo shorts. I feel like I'm in the minority not wanting the X-Men and the MCU for a few more years. I mean, it's going to be a few more years. It's going to be a while before we get them. So I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. Yeah, I'd wager X-Men is probably in Phase 5. I'm right there with you. I don't think we'll see the X-Men until Phase 5-ish. Ralph wants his speed back and travels to the X-Men universe, and that's how we get mutants. Hell yeah. Fuck you, Ralph Boner. I'd love a multiverse Superman where all the Superman meet. Tom Welling, Tyler, Henry. Dude, that'd be fucking fun. I'd love that. Do you think Matt Smith should play Punch 2 in a future Suicide Squad movie? Punch. DC. Punch. He could. I don't know this character well enough to see how I would think Matt Smith would play into it. I mean, if it's got a similar personality to the way he plays the Doctor, then sure, possibly. I'm not all that in tune with Punch. I wonder what Harley Quinn version of Poison Ivy would have to say about the Batman and Robin version. Probably a lot. I'd love to hear their thoughts on it, though. Would you like a hologram of Iron Man, or see how Steve Rogers put back the Infinity Stones? I would rather see how Steve put the Infinity Stones back, because it's going to be a ridiculous and hilarious journey. Did I see the New Mutants? I did. I have a review up of it. It was terrible. In DC, Batman is very important. Which character in Marvel is that important like Batman? I would say Batman is similarly equivalent to Tony Stark. That's what I would say. Superman is Steve. Batman is Tony. Except if you flip that, Tony is the one that signed with the Accords. Superman would have signed with the Accords, and Batman would rebel against it. So that is kind of like the flip side of that, but I don't know. I think you know what I'm getting at there. Seeing put about the Infinities would make an awesome animated series. Yes, it would. About to head out. Omni, have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Jack. I hope you have a good day. Thank you for hanging out and having all the questions and whatnot. If they brought Man-Bat in live action, would you prefer the older or younger version of King Langstrom? Batman's alternate ego, because he's been young and old in the animated movies and shows. I'd probably the younger version. I don't know. Whichever version it was in the animated series, because that's really the only Man-Bat I really remember at all. Who would win between the Hulk and Wonder Woman? What's Wonder Woman's greatest feat? I don't think it's multiversal level like the Hulk. Superman can beat the Hulk. But I think the Hulk might, in a physical fight, I think Wonder Woman might be able to kill the Hulk. Or the Hulk might be able to kill Wonder Woman. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I cannot remember what her greatest feat of strength has been. but the Hulk has literally punched a universe out of existence. Completely destroyed an entire universe with a punch. I don't know that Wonder Woman's done anything like that, so I'm going to say Hulk. Do I like subs? Which is your favorite sub restaurant? For me, first was Subway, and then Jersey Mike's this year as the best. I have an inkling for... I'm very picky. I don't like a lot of veggies and stuff on my sandwiches, so I usually don't lean towards, like, full-on subs or whatever. But, like, I used to eat a lot of Subway, especially because we had one on campus when I was going to college. But recently, I've acquired a taste for Jimmy John's. I have not had a Jersey Mike's. I've never been to one. They put one up here not too long ago, but I've never actually been to it. Okay, the film versions of Hulk and Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman would... damn, I don't know. Hulk. I think the MCU Hulk would beat the DCEU Wonder Woman. From what we've seen of her strength feats so far. But then again, she's got her sword. And she's pretty fast and she can fly. Hulk, though, is still stronger, so I don't know. Be tough. That's a tough one. Yeah, definitely not Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk would get his ass kicked. I think with her skill, her utility, and all that, I think Wonder Woman might be able to win. But it would be a hard fight. Well, there was Worldbreaker Hulk. Yeah, I mean, I consider Worldbreaker Hulk in any event. Like, whatever their peak is what I consider whenever I'm thinking about, like, their feats and whatnot. New Mutants, hated that movie. Would advise anybody to waste their time. I wouldn't say I hated it, but it was definitely not great. Which betrayal surprised you the most? The Peacemaker betrayal or Dr. Psycho's betrayal? Dr. Psycho? What? I don't know. Clarify. Ahoyan. Just saw Suicide Squad. It was a sequel and it was awesome. Many people in this movie, I lost count. Yep. I told you, man. Yes, I would go with Hulk being Wonder Woman. It wouldn't be close, but her sword, he would have to be careful. See, that's the only thing that would, like, weigh it up. He definitely wins in strength. But she's got a lot of utility, and her sword could definitely hurt him. So, yeah, it'd be a good fight. I think Wonder Woman could win, but it'd be a tough-ass fight. Second season of the TV show. And he became the villain. What TV show? When you say Dr. Psycho, I have no idea who you're talking about. Oh, on Harley Quinn. Oh, yeah, Peacemaker. Dr. Psycho's always been a little bitch. I completely forgot about him. That wasn't ringing a bell to me at all. No, they weren't, Daniel. You read a lot of reports that are from unreliable sources, which are all incorrect. And we've talked about it before, man. God. Would I like to see a spin of the version of the 80s live-action TV series Hulk? Sure, why not? Bring it. More Hulks, the more the merrier. Michael Keaton's Batman versus Wonder Woman. Well, which Wonder Woman? If it's Gal Gadot, she would fucking beat the shit out of him unabashedly. Michael Keaton's Batman's not very effective. Unless we see, like, a much different version of him in the Flash film. Michael Keaton's Batman's pretty weak sauce when it comes to actual threat level. Didn't realize HBO Max was making a Batgirl and Blue Beetle film till, like, a couple days ago. And a Static Shock film. Diana's lasso and sword could give her an edge. Could. She could use the lasso to force him to revert into Banner and then kill him. The mean dwarf. Hey dude, love the Suicide Squad. Watched on HBO Max and watching in Dolby tomorrow. Nice.
Who do I cast as the new Wolverine? Yeah, I really don't know. Let's see. Let's look at some potentials. Yeah, I don't know, man. Wolverine's one of those characters that, like, even with Hugh Jackman, I just never imagined him as the character until he made the physical transformation. It's one of those characters, like, I don't know who I could see playing and taking up that role. I don't know, man. I'm really bad with faces and like picking out castings for most people. Like, there's a couple that I'm like, that obviously you have to cast this person, and like rarely they do. But yeah, I really don't know for Wolverine. Tom Hardy, I was thinking would be pretty decent, but if they go for like a younger version, like I think they're going to, I don't know if they'll go with Tom Hardy. Michael Keaton's Batman is weak. Yeah, man. By comparison, he doesn't have the utility. He doesn't have the equipment. He definitely doesn't have the fighting skills and the strength. Like, he's great against thugs somehow. But yeah. Batman versus Spider-Man. Do you give Spider-Man a chance? I think Spider-Man would win the first encounter, but Batman would always win any encounter after that. Batman, I will say, like, there's not a guarantee he will win the first fight with anybody. Like, there's some people where I feel like, yeah, he'd wipe the floor with them in the initial combat, but until he learns somebody, he's his biggest threat after he's been able to gain intel on you. So I think initially, if they fought the first time, Batman would lose. But if they ever fought again, Spider-Man would get his ass whooped. Because Batman, when it comes to contingencies and planning for a fight, it's hands down, Batman will figure out a way. One did the last thing with Shazam and forced him to back into Billy. Yep. And then killed him as Billy. I'm gonna make an exact copy of Hugh Jackman and cast him. I think Gunn's version is better than Ayers in my opinion. Well, we didn't actually get Ayers, so keep that in mind. The studio let a different company assemble his movie. So yeah, I mean, it is 100% better than the theatrical version of the film that we got. But I wouldn't call the movie that we got in 2016 Ayers' film. Because he doesn't. So Hulk would have to also watch out for Alasso as well. They don't do Tom Hardy as a Wolverine because he's already Venom in the Sonyverse. That is also true. But then again, the multiverse, whatever, they could have him play multiple characters. I mean, look at what's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson. He was Quicksilver in the MCU, and he's now playing Kraven on the Sonyverse. I'm an older actor because Wolverine is supposed to be a couple hundred years old, right? Yeah, but the thing is, he's not supposed to look that old, so that'd be kind of where weird. I don't know. I lost complete train of thought there. Yeah, he is a couple hundred years old, but the point is he's not supposed to look like he's older. Like, yeah, he looks older, but he's supposed to look the same age as mostly everybody else, was always my understanding. Michael Rooker is also in both universes. True. I don't think Venom matters because it is the Sonyverse in different worlds. Superman versus Shazam. I think Superman would win in the long run. Like, he does have a weakness to magic, but again, he's got, I think, more skill and utility than Shazam when it comes to his powers, his experience, his level. That's why I think him versus Black Adam is a little more of a threat, because Black Adam's
much more experienced with all of his abilities and whatnot. So I don't know. It's a good matchup because Shazam was made to be like a Superman parallel. But then again, like I've said before, Superman is one of those characters that is only as powerful as he wants to be or needs to be, because his mind is his own limit. So I think in a death fight, Superman would beat Shazam. Take care, Tay. Thank you for hanging out and having so many great questions and thoughts. No, Wolverine casting is going to please everyone. There's always going to be people who complain because it's hard to find someone that's 5'3" and crazy built and a good actor. Andy Serkis. Let's do Andy Serkis. Make Andy Serkis Wolverine. Have I played the Arkham games? I've said many times, and you've asked before. I've played all the Arkham games, even in the stream. I mentioned that earlier. I played all the Arkham games, and we even talked about the new Suicide Squad game is set in the Arkham universe. Even though the trailer itself has enough of it that contradicts all the other Arkham games. So I'm curious to see how they retcon the Arkham universe, because there is a couple of changes that they have made that clearly make it different than some, like the characters completely different from how they had showed up before. So not all of them, but there's one in particular that stands out like a sore thumb that is definitely different than he was the first time he popped up in the earlier Arkham games. And I'm curious how they will explain it, or if they will just even acknowledge it. Peter Dinklage as Dr. Psycho. Sure. I think that would work. That could definitely work. Shazam versus Captain Marvel. Both were Captain Marvel originally. Very true. They used to both be Captain Marvel. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with the extent of either of them's true potentials. So I don't know. If we're talking the movie versions, the MCU Captain Marvel would wipe the floor with the DCEU Shazam. But as far as their comic book counterparts, I don't know enough about them individually as far as the full extents of their capabilities. Especially Captain Marvel. I really don't know where she caps off in the comics. I know she's got limits in the comics, so I'm not sure. But movie-wise, Captain Marvel would whoop the floor with Shazam. Are we still connected? I got disconnected from the chat, so I can't see anything anybody's typing right now. I mean, my bitrate shows fine. YouTube says them. Whatever. Okay, we're back. We're good. You're right. Batman loses at times, but a second time he will get you. He's very smart and he learns from his mistakes. Exactly, especially with his Babel protocols. Lastly, Grodd versus Kraven. There's so many Marvel versus DC hypotheticals, but I'm not gonna tape up. I mean, sure, go with what you can, man. Omni getting shady there. Talk about this earlier. I did play. Yeah, I don't know. I do that a lot, especially with Daniel. Give him a little bit of a hard time because he's doesn't like to listen. Where are we at? Grodd versus Kraven. I think Grodd could pull that win out. He's way smarter than Kraven at the end of the day. Plus, he's a psychic gorilla. Kraven doesn't really have any powers. So, I don't know. I feel like Grodd could get the upper hand on Kraven. You think Spider-Man will be in Venom? I want him to be, but I don't know that he will be. We will just have to wait and see. Will I buy Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League? I will. I'm excited to see the continuation of the Arkhamverse. I don't know. I don't know if I'll buy it. I think I will definitely be on guard about purchasing it because we haven't seen any gameplay for it. And like I mentioned earlier, I was like, I'm very skeptical once the game implements multiplayer about the viability and this fluidity of the game and the storytelling. So we'll just have to wait and see until we actually see gameplay of it itself. But so far, like I've said, it already contradicts the Arkhamverse, so I'm curious to see what they actually do with it. If I could compare Man-Bat to any DC and Marvel character, who would it be? Man-Bat, I think, like if we're comparing him to to a Marvel character, I think the closest would be like the Lizard. Except the Lizard at least retains some sentience. Man-Bat pretty much just, well, no, he is sentient. It depends on the version. A lot of the time he is just a man beast. But yeah, I think the Lizard might be the closest parallel for Man-Bat. Like the shirt, good message. I got this with one of my old wine crates from Stephen and Mel's winery. It was actually, each shirt would come with a shirt based on whatever their signature wine was of the package, and that's what this one was. But yeah, good message, and I agree with it. You excited for Cobra Kai season 4? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Dude, out of everything that's coming out this winter, honestly, Cobra Kai is probably the thing I'm the most excited for. I'm really looking forward to Book of Boba Fett, but I am more hyped for season 4 of Cobra Kai than I am for Boba Fett, if that says anything. Yeah, I think Carol would wipe the floor with Shazam. Omni, remember in the Suicide Squad, remember then King Shark almost ate Ratcatcher, Bloodsport, Chucky. Does nothing, but then the fish almost kills King Shark. That is odd. That is odd. I didn't think about that. You're right. He is bullet immune. His does seem to be bulletproof. But then again, those little colorful squid fishies were able to pierce his flesh and bite into him and almost killed him. It's interesting. Interesting. Killer Croc versus the Lizard. I'm going to go with the Lizard because the Lizard is just smarter. Just as capable. Just as large in most cases. And highly intelligent. The Lizard is my favorite Spider-Man villain. Outside of Venom and Carnage. The Lizard is my, up there with everybody else. Like, non-symbiote characters, it's... Yeah. Favorite Robin, Dick Grayson. It's always going to be Dick, man. I'm a fan of that Dick. I like that Dick. That Dick can always be, in and around me. I just, huge fan of Dick. Big old Dick Richard Grayson. Damian is my second favorite, though. I like Jason Todd and his character arc. I like him much better as Red Hood than I do as a Robin. Tim Drake has always been fine for me. He's never really been a favorite of mine as far as Robins go. But Damian, I was really fascinated with. But at the end of the day, Dick Grayson is my favorite character. Outside of Batman. So. But then again, I think of him more as Nightwing. So then does that count as Robin? Because I do, most of the time when I think of Dick, I think of Nightwing. If we're talking exclusively about their time as Robin, my favorite's going to be Damian. More hype for Obi-Wan show, Ahsoka, or Boba Fett. Well, I'm talking about only what comes out in this fall. Like, Obi-Wan's not coming out this year. Ahsoka's not coming out this year. Book of Boba Fett is, but, I'm personally more hyped for Cobra Kai than Boba Fett. Red Hood versus Winter Soldier. I'd have to go with Winter Soldier, honestly. Similar skills, similar moveset, similar equipment. But Winter Soldier is also, on top of all those skills, a superhuman, where Red Hood is just a normal dude. So I think that gives Winter Soldier a little bit more of an advantage. Sure, Red Hood's got experience fighting those types of characters as well, but so does Winter Soldier. So that just kind of gives them the same level of experience, but one little level up, one little higher point for the Winter Soldier for me. Which superhero in DC or Marvel, besides Superman, identity would be bad for the character or people to know who you are? In DC, other than Superman, like people finding out that Clark Kent's Superman, like obviously they can target his mom. They can, assuming she's alive in this continuity, that whatever one you're talking about, target Lois Lane, target his children. Batman, his identity being found out really won't change much of anything. There's not really anybody tied to him because they're mostly dead. Learning about Bruce Wayne will really just blow the cover for him. So I don't think that's a huge threat for his identity to be brought out there. Similarly with Wonder Woman, doesn't really matter. Honestly, I think it's the Flash. He's got the most to lose. He's got his kids. He's got Iris West. He's got his family, like his non-powered family. I think Flash would be the one that would have the most to lose if their identity was outed. And in Marvel, I think it's Peter Parker, man. He's got some of the most bloodthirsty villains that really, really hate him. So I think it's for Marvel. I think it's definitely Peter. But Will Smith wishes he was in the Suicide Squad now. I doubt it. I doubt he cares, to be honest. Hulk versus Solomon Grundy. Hulk. Hulk every day. Yeah, but overall Star Wars shows, which are you most hyped for? Out of those three, Obi-Wan. I'm really excited to I know like Ahsoka's gonna be bonkers and awesome and like all this Rebel stuff and Ezra and whatnot, but like I'm just really excited to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi and see that time frame, that period on Tatooine, but like in the era in between of the Empire. Really looking forward to that. Secondly, it's going to be Ahsoka and the Boba Fett. Yeah, that's cool, but I'm down for it. Captain Planet versus Captain America. Captain Planet, man. He's super strong. He controls all the elements. Captain America is just a guy with a shield at the end of the day. Thoughts on Netflix still moving forward with their live action The Last Airbender show without the original creators and their recent casting announcements? Casting announcements themselves are fine. I think they look great. I think you can definitely make them look like the characters. My stance is there were those leaked casting character descriptions which were put out for the casting call, which I hope were just scapegoats so that the people auditioning for the roles didn't know the characters they were auditioning for to keep it kind of under wraps. Otherwise, they are doing like a Dragon Ball Evolution adaptation of The Last Airbender, and I will not be on board for that. Secondly, aside from that, if that's not the case, then it's fine. I just have to wait to see more. I think the casting's fine, but I do think it is a very bad sign that the original creators jumped ship because they didn't like the direction that Netflix was going in. I feel like Shazam would lose a lot of his identity was out. Yeah, I didn't even think about Shazam. Like his entire foster family. Yeah. But would it though? Because they're also all Shazams. So it's like if you're coming after his family, they can also transform. So it's not a huge threat, but it does make it vulnerable if like somebody's just like snipes a bunch of. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. YouTube might not like that. Anyway, they could be taken out very stealthily while in kid form or at school. So yeah, I don't know. That'd be really weird. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that they would be put in a lot more danger. They just have to be in the Shazam form at all times. Hey, I'm just thinking about it out of context here. That's just out of context. That could sound pretty bad. Anyway, I think Netflix should just drop it. Avatar Studios is in full force pre-production on multiple projects. The original creators and the majority of the crew from both shows. I agree, but they got the licensing for it, and I'm sure they're going to move forward with it no matter what. Yeah. You're right, Michael Keaton's Batman was not that effective. For example, Michael Keaton had a hard time fighting the bad guys in the church, and Batman would especially dispatch it, kill everyone. Batfleck would, yeah. Flash versus Quicksilver. The Flash.
the Flash can run circles around Quicksilver. Quicksilver has to have an Infinity Stone to even come close to the Flash's speed potential. Because without it, he can only run like Mach. Like he can break the sound barrier, and I think that's it. I think we're talking from any continuity. I never understood why Wonder Woman has a secret identity. Her family is on an inaccessible island in the middle of the ocean, and it's invisible. Exactly. Yeah, it's always been a little weird with her, with Wonder Woman and her secret identity thing. Spider-Man's enemies hate Spider-Man like normal people hate spiders. True. It's like, squash him! King Shark and the CW Flash versus King Shark and the Suicide Squad. In a fight, I think King Shark from the CW would win. He's much larger, much stronger, and he's a scientist, so he keeps his intelligence while he's in that form too. So I think he would win in a fight. But yeah, so that's my thoughts there. I agree 100%. The Flash and Spider-Man, if people knew everything, their life would be hell for both of them. Kara Danvers versus Carol Danvers. I think Kara Danvers would whoop the shit out of Carol Danvers. I think it's so funny that the names are so similar. Who do you think will be a good Jason Todd / Red Hood in the DCEU? Dude, just get Jensen Ackles. He voiced him in the DCEU. I think he could do a great Red Hood. Just do it. Get Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles for Red Hood. Campaign right now. I'm still interested in the live action Avatar show, but I love the original, and I'd like to see the changes they make to the new show. Maybe Zuko and Katara romance. Ew, no. I'm curious. I'm open-minded. It's one of those things. I just have to wait and see what they do with it. I'm very protective over Avatar a little bit because it's like one of those things, like, you just got to be really careful when you go and fuck with it. But right now it's just a little sus. We'll see. I really do not like how some Star Wars YouTubers are constantly talking about the Lucasfilm Civil War. I didn't say you to your idea. I said the you to Zuko Katara. Sorry. Which I guess is your idea. Stop it. We're a Katang house in here. I really don't like how some Star Wars YouTubers constantly talking about Lucasfilm Civil War with Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau. Yeah, and it's a lot of it's hearsay. While I don't like the general handling of Star Wars since Kathleen Kennedy's rule, there's no sense really talking about it. I mean, a lot of the fault does fall on her. But for a lot of the things that outcomes that we've kind of led to at this point, but it's whatever. There's no benefit about it. There's no benefit that's going to come from continuing to talk about that. Catwoman versus Black Cat. Honestly, I think in a fight, I think Black Cat might get the upper hand. But then again, she's got more potential for like a wardrobe malfunction during the middle of the fight. So who knows? This is not a Katang house anymore. Zuko's an adult for most of the series. Katara's like 14. It's weird that people keep putting them together. Okay, to be fair, let's look at the character ages. Originally, there's only a 2-year difference between most of the characters, which in the grand scheme of things, at that age, feels like a lot. At that age, it is a lot. A lot of people, especially at a younger age, go through a lot of changes really fast compared to when you're an adult. So like Aang and Toph are both 12. Katara's 14. Sokka's 15 and Zuko's 16. Throughout the entire show. So it is kind of weird no matter how you think about it at the end of the day, by the end of it. But then again, they do go through a lot of things most adults would never go through in their life today either. So it's whatever. It's fantasy. Go with it. But I wouldn't necessarily call Zuko an adult, but he is definitely the oldest in the crew and does act as such. So it is a little weird. Katara acts much older than she is. So again, it's another one of those really weird
areas when it comes to fantasy that you got to kind of take into consideration. But she was also like, if we go back to when she was started off, she was also the doe-eyed, like starstruck, like she grew a lot in that 1 year, like from where she started off, like aspiring just to learn about waterbending and all this stuff. Like she was very like head in the clouds kind of compared to Sokka. So I don't know. There's like this weird, like she was the right in between to really kind of go either way, I think. I don't know. It's just such a good show, just seeing how the characters evolve from where they start off in the beginning to where they end up at the end. But yeah, I don't know. I never got the chemistry. Like I can see where people pull it from it for like the Zutara stuff, but like at the same time, I just don't. I'm like, dang, it's like my boy. Zuko's my favorite character. Don't get me wrong. Zuko's easily my favorite character. Hands down my favorite character, but like, I don't like ship him with anybody in that crew. Honestly, like more than there was what was her name? The girl from Bossing Say that he went on that date with. Like, I thought that was the cutest shit ever. Was that one. That whole little dynamic when he went on that date in Tales of Bossing Say. Why am I blanking on her name? It starts with a J. Jin. That's her name. It was Jin. All right. Iron Man versus Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash. Speedsters, when you think about it, are completely overpowered. Most of, like, Wally West, if he wanted to, could probably take out Superman. He's faster than Superman. So, yeah. I think the live action show is said to be making Katara the oldest sibling. That has since been rebutted by the team. So far, the only age change has been that they made Zuko 17 and Sokka 16. They made Sokka a year older, I think. And they made Zuko 17. Because there was the leak that came out a long time ago that had Katara being older than Sokka, and everybody flipped their shit. And then this latest report says that they changed that. Bro, you're capping hard. Superman not faster than Wally, but he got more than speed, bro. You know, Wally can like disassemble atoms. Wally has got more than speed as well. If he infinite mass punches at his full speed, he can obliterate Superman's entire existence. He could also run through Superman and pull Superman's heart out of his chest. There's a lot of things that speedsters can do that are fucking busted. It doesn't matter. Superman, no matter what, can't hit him ever. And his infinite mass punch is as strong as his top speed times whatever the multiplier is for that. Like, Wally has the highest chance of killing Superman than anybody outside of Dr. Manhattan. Okay, here it is. So as of the most recent report, Aang is still 12, Katara is still 14, Sokka has been increased to 16, and Zuko is now 17, according to the Netflix live action show. So yeah, so we'll see how it all pans out. I'm talking comics, Russianese. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm talking their greatest feats. This is comic book Wally West.
Let's see. Black Cat has the super soldier serum running through her veins, but Catwoman only knows just. I didn't recall that Black Cat actually had the super soldier serum. Is that accurate? I don't remember that. I just remember Gotham recast so many times Poison Ivy as a child. Okay, so like Poison Ivy in Gotham, I always described her as a fucking Pokemon because she kept evolving. Like she literally had her starter form, her mid form, and her final form. Like it was hilarious. Yeah, he doesn't need to fly. How do you think he ran across the entire universe? He ran from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe. He doesn't need to fly. He's also faster than an instant, if that makes any sense whatsoever. He can run through space. Explain that. Ben 10 teenage one versus Darkseid. Darkseid 100%. Yeah. Yeah, they made Poison Ivy really weird when she had her 12-year-old mindset in the body of a 20-something-year-old. It was really creepy. Really creepy. If Batman was in Superman world, how would he deal with Lex and how would he take him out? It's a good question. I don't really know how he'd deal with it. He would probably get a lot of dirt on him and then like reveal all of his shady dealings to the press or the cops or some bullshit. I don't know. And the new Bad Batch episode got me crying. It was really emotional, man. Just seeing like how fucked Crosshair's perspective has been. It's just like, it was sad. You're not understanding the point, Russianese. It doesn't matter if he can or can't. The thing is, Wally can do it too. That means he can fly. That means it doesn't matter that Superman can fly. Wally's still faster and technically stronger if he does his infinite mass punch. Outside of Dr. Manhattan, when it comes to their ability to affect anybody within their universe, Wally West has the highest power ceiling. Tom Cavanaugh, Reverse Flash. Other Reverse Flash. I don't know the actor's name. Matt Leach. Durability, yeah. I mean, like Superman, if he hits Wally, if he manages to somehow hit Wally, Wally will be down. I'm not getting angry. I'm just like, I don't deal with stupid very well. Thing is, Superman would be super lucky. He would have to be super lucky to even hit him. Like, you completely underestimating Wally completely. Like, it's hilarious. Would I ever go to a horror con? Sure. 100%. Ba-bow. Aquaman versus Weasel. That's not even a fight. Weasel's just a weasel man. Aquaman would beat the fuck out of him. Also never understood why they didn't recast Bruce for the finale. They recast Catwoman. It was so stupid just putting a voice scrambler over a kid Bruce. Yeah, I thought that was really weird. I know it was like mostly due to the actress who
Or was it originally planning her to decide to step down because she didn't feel like she would do it justice? I don't know. It was weird. She put out a personal statement about it. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she like made a public post about why she decided not to play Selena Kyle in the final episode. But yeah, it was weird that they kept the same Bruce though. It was a little weird. Yeah, Wally is a lot faster than Barry. Wally's the fastest character in the DC universe. Yeah, it'd be like Goku ripping through Piccolo's chest if he really, really wanted to. Thing is, these characters never want to. Why would he ever try to do that? But like, yeah, he has the potential to when it comes down to things like so. Also, Wally's the most he has the most utility out of his Speed Force compared to any other speedster. Benkin can scan the DNA of any being, so he could scan Darkseid or Superman and become them with the evolution feature as well. Well, Darkseid exists in his own universe. Like, the body form that we see of him is just a shell. It's not actually the true Darkseid. Darkseid exists, has his own dimension, really. Oh yeah, Wally's way faster than Black Flash. Black Flash, I mean, according to DC's official speed chart, isn't in the top 10. So I don't know what to tell you there. I'm not even talking about the shows, Russianese. You're putting words in my mouth. I literally said the comics. You can't even take one punch from Superman. Thing is, Superman would not be able to hit him. In a serious fight, Superman could not hit Wally. So it doesn't even matter. I mean, he's got human durability. He's got superhuman durability as well. Yeah, you're not understanding. I'm done with this debate because you're not listening. You're just being combative at this point. So I'm done. He can hit, well, here I go, going back again. It doesn't matter. Superman can't hit him, and he can hit harder than Superman. So, sorry. He has the potential to hit harder than Superman could ever hit anybody. Doesn't matter about durability or anything. Gotham equals weird. It's like they wanted to do Rogues Gallery show without Batman, but halfway through it, they realized the fans and viewers didn't want that, so they gave us Kid Batman. Well, no, it was more like the producers were just like, we have to have Bruce Wayne in this show for some reason. Because they wanted to do a Gotham, what's it fucking called? Shit, I can't remember it. It was originally supposed to just be all about that, but it's like, eh. Durability doesn't matter if you can't get hit. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not dealing with trolls today, so you're out today. Anyway, let's see. Heard that Darkseid and I'm not like having that completely derail the chat because somebody's being stupid. Like, I know limits, but that's just a brick wall right there. But that's not unusual from him. Hooked on a beer down. That too, that Darkseid and Highfather exist in their own dimensions, and that they are the size of a universe. If one were to enter a universe, they would destroy it by being there. Similarly, Darkseid can't exist in our reality without like an avatar, which is interesting. That's more of a newer thing that they've added to it. Thor versus Wally. I mean, probably still Wally. Thor is a little more limited in the comics than he seems to be. The thing is, like, you got to talk about potential for these characters. And again, like, just to kind of reflect back on this, I don't know that Wally could win every time. The thing is, Wally can't get hit. And if he runs at top speed, he can use infinite mass punch, and he can hit harder than anybody can hit possibly in the universe. So if you can't hit him and he can hit you harder than anybody can hit in the universe, I mean, he's basically a one-shot cannon. If he wanted to kill anybody, he could. I mean, the universe tried to kill Wally and it literally couldn't. He literally peeled himself back from the end of reality. So, Wally is a borderline god anymore. Can't Thor call lightning? He can, but, I mean, Wally's faster than lightning. He generates his own lightning. I don't know, man. Thor, I'll just say I don't know enough about Thor to make an educated thing, but compared on my debate about Superman, I would probably go around similar possibilities. Let's see what we got in his 616 counterpart. I mean, Thor in the comics is immortal. Even if you did manage to kill him, he will reincarnate. So he can die, but he'll just reincarnate and come back. Yeah, like I've said, like many times, my Marvel knowledge, as far as like the comics, a lot of my Marvel knowledge is purely based on the MCU and some minor things I might have looked up on my own time. So like, I don't know as much about the full extent of a lot of the Marvel characters. Yeah, see, like his Marvel profile, like, I know he's stronger than a lot of the stuff that's on here because he's done crazier things. So, like, I don't know. That's not a good gauge of it. I don't know. I would have to say probably Wally, but I don't know. I can't say for certain. I think Superman would beat Thor in the long run. So if we're doing like a versus, but I don't know that Thor doesn't have anything that would specifically counter Wally's abilities. So I can't 100% say for certain who would win that one. I would want to say Wally, but I just don't know. Butch turning into Solomon Grundy was a good twist. It was an interesting twist. I didn't necessarily like it, but Arkham Knight Batman versus Justice League Batman. Arkham Knight Batman would probably win. Titans 3 is said to have much better than the other seasons. Love the other seasons, but I know you didn't. I know. I'm hoping season 3 will be good. Hoping that it'll get me on board for the new story and where they're going with it. Do you think Crosshair will rejoin the Bad Batch going into season 2? I don't know, man. I feel like he might sacrifice himself. I don't see him necessarily rejoining the team. I don't. So I don't know. I feel like there's going to continue to be a tragic end. I don't see a happy ending for their relationship at this point. So I would like for them to rejoin, but I don't know if the story will go that way. Now I remember what I was going to say. I hope to see Nicolas Cage Superman. And yeah, you say that every weekend, that you can't wait to see Nicolas Cage's Superman again someday. Wasn't it originally Gotham High? Like, it was supposed to take place in high school with Bruce. Now, originally it was supposed to be like specifically about the Gotham, like the GCPD. It wasn't supposed to have anything to do with Batman himself or his rogues or anything. It was just going to be about the police, about Jim Gordon living in a corrupt city. But then there's a comic specifically in mind that I can't remember. There's a run of the comic that it was originally pitched as. I'm forgetting the name of it. But then the studio was like, nah, we're going to go this way with it. Because the creator of that comic line was like, well, they basically got out of having to pay me for the show because they changed the concept. Yes, Gotham Central. That was it. Gotham City Central was going to be the direction for it. CW Flash versus Justice League Flash. Okay, so I think the funny thing is, by all accounts and evidence, the CW Flash should be faster than him. He's also got more of a hone on his powers. However, he's also horribly inconsistent. And, but he's more experienced. So like, but the CW has a really hard time showing it. So if we're just basing it based on numbers and calculations and stuff like that, I would have to go with the Flash. But if we're basing this purely on what we have seen, I would have to go with the Justice League one. On paper, the CW Flash is faster and has more utility, but visually, from what we've seen, the Justice League Flash, I don't know. It's weird. It's like comparing the medium. It's hard to separate that in a way, but like I want to say Grant Gustin's Flash, but when I think about it and visualize it, I just can't see him winning, even though I know on paper he's supposed to be strong or faster than him and more experienced. It's just the show just has a really bad way of showing it. I swear Wally could just run and smash right through Thor's hammer. Justice Flash, really? I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think between the CW Flash and the Justice League Flash? So, like, I know that Barry on the show is faster than the Flash in the Justice League, but the show constantly has Barry failing against people all the time who he should have no issue taking out. And it's just a problem with the writing of the show. So it's just like one of those things where I'm like kind of combating myself in my head. I told my brother that Superman can beat Thor because Thor doesn't have speed. I mean, yeah, Superman's weak against magic, which Thor's hammer is magic. Thor's personal abilities are not magic. They are part of his godhood, but the hammer itself is magic. So I don't know. But yeah, he's got more speed. I think he's weaker in the combat side of things. He's faster. He's physically stronger. He's got his heat vision. He's got his ice breath. I think he could pull it out on Thor because he's got a lot of utility up on him. Thor would just have to manage to even get a good hit on him. He would have to hit him with his hammer. And the thing about the hammer and Superman's ability, it'll just hurt him. Like, it hurts him like a normal hammer would hurt a human. So it'd just be like Thor hitting Batman. It's not like it's enhanced or anything like that. He would just feel it like he got a blow from somebody else. So it's like magic and Superman is like one of those really weird areas. But I think Superman could beat Thor. You're one of those people that wear a shirt related to the movies. Sometimes it just depends on my mood. Most of the time I just think I think that a lot of the times I'm just too lazy to change. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Justice Flash, really? Do you think CW Flash is weaker? And I can't compare until I see the movie. I don't. I mean, I just think the show does a really bad job at displaying how competent Barry is on the show. As far as his feats go, Barry on the show has done things that far exceed things that Barry has done in the movies so far. But the show, again, is so inconsistent with his speed. It's hard for me to say it definitively, you know? It's just weird. Because we've seen that Flash on the movie more effectively and efficiently uses powers. So, I don't know. That's a hard one because they're just... The show is so inconsistent, and we also have seen two very different versions of the same character when it comes to the Justice League, between the Justice version and the Zack Snyder version. So, I don't know. It's a tough one there. I don't know. I think we have to... I'll give you a thought on that once we get to the Flash film. We'll see how Barry Allen in the Flash film plays up and how they play with him there. And then maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. I feel like basing it off of Barry in one movie where he just kind of rewinds time, which is... I don't know. It's weird. It's this weird gray area, I think, with this character, because we haven't really seen enough of him. And then the Flash show is just so terribly inconsistent that it's hard to really spot it 100% or give you a definitive on it. Thought it would have been nice for an episode of The Flash to have Oliver train Barry in combat early on. Well, they kind of did. Not in hand-to-hand combat. He does, like, berate him for that later, that he doesn't know how to, like, truly deal with hand-to-hand situations. Because we see him get his ass handed to him, like, on the regular when it comes to, like, a fist fight. But I did like that first crossover that they had where Oliver was training him to case environments, not just run in blind. You know, I did like that. Again, he doesn't really do that anymore. That was kind of a one and done. They never really followed up on that, but I would have liked to see him actually train him how to fight hand to hand and deal with himself without his powers. That would have been very helpful, but yeah, we didn't see. But again, we haven't seen Thor do stuff like lift a whole train. In the comics, we've seen him do way more than that. Anytime I say who versus who, unless you specify movie version, comic version, I'm assuming we're talking about them at the strongest version of them we've ever seen. And most of the time, that is comics. So unless you specify a specific version of the character, that's going to be what I'm saying and what I'm taking into account. Because Thor in the comics has done some crazy shit as far as it comes to feats of strength. Way more than a train. CW Superman versus DCEU Superman. So far, based on everything we've seen, DCEU Superman would, I think, it would be a decent fight. But I think Henry Cavill's Superman so far would whoop the fuck out of Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. While I like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman quite a lot, and he continues to grow on me. I think we've seen time and time again that Zack Snyder's version of the character, at least from what we have seen, is stronger. So we'll see. DCU Superman would snap Tyler Hoechlin's neck so fast. Thor versus Superman, both comics. Yeah, I think Superman would win. It'd be a good fight. It would be a damn good fight, but I think at the end of the day, it would just the upper hand. Superman's got more speed and more strength on him. Floor's got some utility with the hammer, but I don't know that it's enough to give him a complete edge. Superman's also got a lot of experience fighting magical beings as well, so I feel like peak Superman from the comics, peak Thor from the comics. I think just enough Superman would come out on top on that one for sure. Is Batman and Harley enemies or friends because they have teamed up before? Kind of a bit of both. It depends on what part you're talking about, because I think Batman definitely sympathizes with Harley and how the Joker treated her. And he doesn't have it out for Harley anymore unless she steps out of line. So like, unless she crosses some line, Batman and her really aren't going to like bump heads too much these days. But so it's kind of more like, I'd say like frenemies. They're frenemies. They're a little bit of both. It just depends on what Harley's up to any given day. Maybe Barry should ask his wife Iris to teach him how to kick ass. She's a better fighter than he is. I mean, technically, yeah, she's had some self-defense classes. She had to. She's the police chief's daughter. Peak Aang versus peak Wonder Woman. I mean, dude, Wonder Woman would fucking obliterate him in like a single punch. I love Aang, man, but they can't compete with most DC characters. What's up, Donick? Lobo versus Spawn. I would have to say Lobo, because Spawn, he can drain his energy and expel his force, like his necrotic energy, the stuff that gives him his power. He can drain his battery over time. Lobo is unable to die. He literally, even if you destroy his body, the afterlife rejects him, so he just comes back. Like, he can't die. He regenerates rapidly. He can even bud like SpongeBob. You cut off an arm, now you have 2 Lobos. He is a cartoon in DC form. So I think Lobo, like, even if he couldn't, like, I know in the Spawn comics, Spawn exiled God and the devil from our world. Became the greatest being in all of the universe, and then because he got bored, sacrificed it, as a lot of these characters do. So, like, he's done some crazy shit. But Lobo's killed Santa Claus. Lobo versus Deadpool would be an interesting fight. That's Lobo is like the DC answer to Deadpool, to be honest. And that's where it kind of comes into a similar territory, because they are both very cartoony. They both like break the fourth wall sometimes. They are both very jokey, vile, crude. Like, I don't know. As far as who would win, Deadpool couldn't hurt Lobo. Like, he couldn't hurt him no matter what. Like, could not hurt Lobo. But I don't think Lobo can kill Deadpool. So, not to the extent of Deadpool. He's a fourth wall breaker. He has broken the fourth wall before, but he's more of, he doesn't, it's not like his shtick. He's done it before, but he doesn't like do it as like part of his gimmick. But as far as their personality and the way they fit in with their universe, I think him and Deadpool are a little bit more comparable. Hulk versus Thanos without the gauntlet. Comic books, Hulk. Movies, we saw how that went. Thanos didn't even use the Power Stone, and he beat the movie Hulk somehow. But if we're talking comic books, in a hand-to-hand fist fight, but without the gauntlet, the Hulk would win. Explains Superwoman is stronger than Superman. Superwoman? Do you mean Supergirl? Because Superwoman is a completely different character. Galactus versus Darkseid. I would have to say Darkseid, but I don't really have anything to back it up. Again, Galactus is one of those characters I'm not sure exactly how, like the extent of Galactus's powers. Like, this is going to come back to me not knowing enough about Marvel to really give you a full one, but I'm going to lean Darkseid because I know he's insane as far as his abilities on some ways. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can't give you a good explanation for why Darkseid, except that Darkseid can't die and is his own universe. Because remember, the Darkseid that we ever see Superman fight is just an avatar for the true Darkseid. The true Darkseid can't come to our world. But he is an entire dimension. It's weird. Like, that's why I'm like, him and Galactus is like this weird comparison, you know. I don't know. Wonder Woman with obliterating Aang is just really funny to me for some reason. Clayface versus Sandman. You know, I don't know. Sandman you beat if he gets wet. Clayface doesn't really. Is he weak against water? God, I don't remember. I don't know. I mean, Darkseid's just as strong as Superman in most cases. Galactus could probably kill his avatar, but he can't actually kill Darkseid. He'd win. Galactus might be able to win the fight, but he still wouldn't be able to kill him. You know, I don't know. Again, I don't know the full extent of Galactus, so I don't know. Don't forget how tall Galactus is. Yeah, but I don't think size, especially in the comic book world, size isn't always everything. But like I said, I don't know enough about Galactus to really give you a solid answer. Who I think is the Living Tribunal level in DC? Shit, there is a character, but I can't remember their name. That is kind of like that. Shit, I don't remember. I know there is one, but I cannot think of him. How about Mxyzptlk? Mxyzptlk, if you really want to be honest, like, can kill anybody. He's one of those beings that, like, if he truly wanted to. The thing is, he just likes mischief and fucking with people. But if you think about it, he should be able to literally do whatever he wants in our reality. So Galactus is basically triple the size of Earth, and he hungers on worlds and destroys them. There's a bit of info there. Yeah, he can, like, he literally hump planets. So Galactus is basically triple the size of Earth, and he hungers on worlds and destroys them. Okay, I just read that. Lois and Clark, Superman versus Eric Bana Hulk, who grows bigger the more and angrier he gets. I'll be honest, like, I've seen that movie one time ever, and I fell asleep in the theater. I fell asleep in the theater watching that movie, so I don't remember it all that well. So I can't give it a definitive on that one. For me, I would have to say Superman, but I can't say for certain because I don't remember that movie well enough. Yeah, that showed with Emperor Joker. Dr. Manhattan could destroy 99.9% of everyone in DC or Marvel without a sweat. Dr. Manhattan, if he wanted... Yeah, I think that 99.9% includes Mxyzptlk because he's a fifth dimensional being, so I don't know if Dr. Manhattan could even, like, affect him because he's not of the material world that Dr. Manhattan can manipulate. So I think he might be that 0.1% that Dr. Manhattan wouldn't be able to kill. But Dr. Manhattan is like that fucking, like, unstoppable character in DC. Like, if he really wanted to, he could just, it's all gone. Which was kind of the interesting dynamic about him and Superman in the Doomsday Clock, which I still haven't finished, but, like, it's like their push and pull in that, like, is pretty interesting. The true Darkseid can't come to Earth. Like, Darkseid's true body is always in another dimension. The Darkseid that always comes to Earth and fights Superman is just a artificial avatar that he uses to exist in our world. This is something they invented, like, in the past couple of years, so... And it's kind of weird. Incredible Hulk versus MCU Hulk. I'd have to go with Incredible Hulk. So far, it seems like he's, like, got more shit together. But then again, MCU Hulk punched one of those fucking Chitauri crater things and was like, wah badoom. Do they explain why he can't come to our dimension? Maybe. I don't remember if they explained why. My understanding was that he is another dimension, which is why it's weird. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain because I also don't really understand it all well. It's like this new concept. A buddy of mine was telling me about it. I looked into it a little bit, but yeah, it's a newer thing they had with that. It's odd because I always thought Darkseid was Darkseid, you know? But they established this whole new thing. I think it's because of the last reset with the universe and how this Darkseid survived the reboot of the universe or some bullshit. So it's like, yeah, because he's in another dimension or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember. They've been doing a lot of really weird shit in the past 10 years with DC stuff. Darkseid's own dimension. How could he have a daughter like that in the comics? Fuck if I know, man. DC being inconsistent. I have no idea. What's up, Calvin? Welcome. Welcome. I redacted it. Tyrone Magnus needs help with his channel? How do you mean? How so? Is everything okay? What's wrong? Did he lose his channel again? Incredible Hulk versus Eric Bana Hulk. Again, I don't remember the Eric Bana one well enough to really give a definitive on that. But I think I would have to say Incredible Hulk might beat the MCU Hulk. Let's do a drunk stream. Well, I finished my first glass of wine. We're up over 3.5 hours in. I'm gonna have to go for some dinner soon. But was your channel active when the grade A under A situation was a thing? I don't know what that is. Probably not. My channel's only been around for like the past 3 years, which is weird because I didn't realize it had actually been 3 years now that I've been kind of doing stuff like this. Deadpool versus Deadshot. Deadshot can't kill Deadpool. Most Incredible Hulk is extremely underrated in my opinion. Yeah, it gets a lot of shit for some reason. I like it. I like the Incredible Hulk. I thought it was a decent Thor film. Jesus, a decent Hulk film. Brandon Routh Kingdom Come Superman versus the DCEU Wonder Woman. Kingdom Come Superman. Brandon Routh Superman I think would beat Wonder Woman's. The DCEU's Wonder Woman from what we've seen of him so far. Because also remember, Brandon Routh's Kingdom Come Superman is Christopher Reeves' Superman. It's the same Superman, so we'll see. What do you think is going to happen in Bad Batch episode 16? I think they're going to be Left for Dead. And obviously they're going to escape Camino because obviously there's a season 2. But I think there's going to be, I think in some way for the team to get out of there, I think Crosshair is going to sacrifice himself. Aside from that, I really don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. The only way I can see Manhattan being taken out is Thanos taking a chance at snapping his fingers and hoping he would be the 50% that would vanish. Well, if Thanos wanted to, he could just do the same thing and erase all life. The 50% isn't a stipulation of the gauntlet. That was just Thanos' goal. He only wanted to remove 100%. If he wanted to wipe out all life, he could have just done it. The thing is, he only wanted to balance the world, unlike what he wanted to do in the comics, which he wanted to offer all of reality to Death in exchange for her affection, which didn't work. So, like, he could have. Thing is, Dr. Manhattan could realize exactly what he's doing and just erase the gauntlet. Like, he could just remove the gauntlet. He could erase the Infinity Stones off of him. He could just... It's gone. So, that's the weird thing. Like, Dr. Manhattan literally can control all of reality. He can also see the future. He also exists in the past, present, and future simultaneously. So he knows and can see all things as they are happening, whether or not he's there presently. Like, he's one of the most OP characters ever created. The only thing that staves his hand from doing anything is because he's so powerful and so emotionally distanced because of all of his knowledge and his need to understand his purpose and the purpose of life and all that stuff. He doesn't interfere with anything. Which is weird. But yeah. Lou Ferrigno, Hulk versus Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Probably Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Yeah, Dr. Manhattan can reality warp. I thought it was a gauntlet having limits. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man versus Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I would probably go with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's was still a little more inexperienced. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, we had like a span of years with. While we didn't see everything, it was pretty interesting to see how that would go. I mean, Manhattan was taken out with a Sonic cannon in the Watchmen show, right? Well, that's also not the comic book Manhattan. That's kind of its own thing. Dr. Manhattan in the comics is like insane. Yeah, the show did its own thing for its storytelling purposes. Like in the comics, as far as I'm aware, there isn't a way to kill Manhattan. Even if you destroyed the body that's in front of you, like, he exists in all space and reality and time and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it's one of those weird cases where the show just wanted to do something else. The show itself exists as its own continuity. They did it as a sequel to both the Snyder film and the show. Like, it is a sequel in spirit. It's a spiritual sequel to the comic and Zack Snyder's movie, you know, in a way. So, like, it's this weird amalgamation. It was amazing. It was a really amazing show, but, like, it was like, yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't equate it to, again, this is one of those situations where I'm like, Dr. Manhattan in the comics is fucking busted. Quiet Place 2 review. I saw and I haven't watched your review short version. Did you like it better than the first? I don't know. I'd say I like it about the second, about the same as the first. I think the first was a better, I think it was more interesting story, but I think the second was a really great sequel. I just like the premise of the family unit in the first one a little bit more. But the second one is a phenomenal sequel. I thought it was really great. Yeah, Dr. Manhattan helped bring back the Omniverse in that little run, the Doomsday Clock run. Yeah, he was like, yeah, let's just bring all this shit back. Very random question. If you could bring any Cartoon Network character into the DC or Marvel, who would it be? Ben 10 for DC for me. If we're talking Cartoon Network exclusives, let's see. Ben 10 would be a good one. I like Ben 10 a lot. But I think I'm going to go Powerpuff Girls. I think I'd rather see the Powerpuff Girls in Marvel or DC. I think that'd be cool. Would you like Doomsday Clock adapted into the Arrowverse? No. Nah. In the Arrowverse, I mean, technically the Arrowverse is in the Doomsday Clock because it's in one of those realities that were established in there. Because all the live action stuff, all the animated stuff, everything, the games, everything that ever is or was by DC was at least indirectly in Doomsday Clock. So, I don't know. Yeah, as far as like a Cartoon Network character I would love to bring into the DC or Marvel, I'd love to see the Powerpuff Girls, personally. Hellboy, but I don't think if we saw Doomsday Clock done by the Arrowverse, like on the Arrowverse scale, I don't think it would really work all that well. I don't think they would have the budget to do that in like a cool way. So yeah. I'm gonna head out and eat and then go see Suicide Squad. Fun chatting. Hope we didn't spoil it too much for you and you have a good time, man. Let me know what you think. Hellboy should be DC, bruh. What is Hellboy? Hellboy's Dark Horse, right? Yeah. Explain why sometimes a movie does good, but don't go to movies. The second one does. Is it money or what? I'm not sure what you mean there. If I could switch any Marvel or DC universe character, who would it be? Like if I put one in another universe versus, I'd put Spider-Man in DC, just because then all of my favorite comic book characters would be in the DC universe. Or Doctor Strange into DC. I think he'd be a nice fit. I mean, I like him. This might be a little controversial. I like him more than Dr. Fate as a character, as a person. But they kind of fulfill the same role. I don't know. I'd swap out Spider-Man. Have him be on the Justice League. As far as like who would I put in Marvel? Captain Marvel. Good old Shazam. Let's put him over there. Have him and Carol Danvers duke it out. Guys, I'm going to call it a stream for now. It's been almost, we're like a little over 3.5 hours. Got any other questions, drop them in the Discord and tag me, or drop them in the comments here. Real quick for Calvin, though, I will say favorite clone is Rex. Rex is my favorite clone. If we're talking about the Clone Force 99, Hunter is my favorite out of those. And because I asked John to rephrase that, I'll answer that one too. Like, Escape Room wasn't in the movies, or A Quiet Place wasn't either, but Part 2 is. I thought Quiet Place 1 was, and Escape Room was. Escape Room I know was in theaters. I remember when that was out. I just didn't go see it. But I could have swore Quiet Place came out in theaters also. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there. Yeah, I don't know. Because I was under the impression that they both did. Now, I never saw Escape Room, and I only watched Quiet Place like a couple weeks ago before so that I watched it like the day before I went and saw the second movie. So yeah, I was pretty fresh on that. I don't remember how the Quiet Place actually did. I know critically it did really well, but that was about all I know. I don't remember how it did box office wise. What I'm most excited for in Black Adam? I think seeing Dr. Fate. Seeing Dr. Fate in live action, I'm really excited for. But guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much. Remember, drop your questions in the comments or join the Discord. Leave them there and I'll try to get back to you guys. I might come back. I know I say this every Saturday. I might come back and just kind of stream a game or something. Just relax tonight. Or I might tune out. So just kind of keep an eye out and I'll let you guys know if I come on. Or just kind of keep your eyes open. But take care, everybody. Thank you all for the chats. I'll see you later.